Wendy Bell Radio is live. By the way, I had to look up the title.
Why?
I don't speak Spanish.
I'm pretty sure you could gather what it's one of those words that sort of is ubiquitous.
I thought it meant liberated.
Pretty much does. Freedom. That's what it means. Liberty, freedom. Yes. See, that's the thing that's cool about Spanish is like a word means something, but it could also have much broader, right? Has much broader. I think it's so fascinating to see what's going on in the world right now. It's so fascinating to see that the Democrats have no response to it. And they're running out of plays. There's really nothing left to dip back into. And so I think everybody is sort of, I think even the Democrats themselves are looking at each other being like, okay, I've said that enough. Is there nothing else?
Which just warns you they're going to cheat.
Yeah.
The
dark money infusion that's about to drop and all that stuff.
The Carl that you took.
Yeah.
I watched live last night. I was hoping someone would clip it. And then when I saw it, I'm like, good. He's 100%.
So we have a good show for you guys today. We're going to talk about Cuba. You know, what's going to happen with Cuba? I don't know. But it sure opens the door to the potential libertad of the people there who have been under oppressive rule for what? 7 decades? And what do the Democrats have to say about it? Oh, what's he going to do? Take a 94-year-old or 92-year-old, however Raul Castro is.
Same assholes that we're going to take an 80-year-old Donald Trump and put him in jail for the rest of his life.
The same people who took a grandmother who traveled from Colorado Springs to the Capitol to walk across, like walked up the stairs, walked across, walked down the stairs, prayed, and then got hassled and nearly thrown in prison.
How about Tina Peters? Old with cancer.
Let's be kind of cool on the word old. Okay.
Oh, was she? She was in her 80s, wasn't she?
No, she's like 74. Oh. That's not old to me. I don't look at that.
That's because you're right there. That's payback for you calling me older.
That's such a wanker kind of a move, isn't it?
A wanker?
A wanker kind of. Are you guys paying attention to what's going on in the UK? Keir Starmer is laying a massive egg. People don't want extreme liberalism anymore. They don't want it in the UK. They don't want it in Germany. They don't want it in Israel. They don't want it in America. And as soon as Canada wakes up, we'd all be much happier. Maybe they can figure their shit out too. Beg your pardon.
I do agree that someone in the chat put old is a state of mind. I agree 100%. I agree 100%. We've had this conversation on the show about your dad, you know, who's
83
always
or
trying
whatever.
to learn more.
He's going on a cruise to Alaska. They're going to be on canoes.
He goes to spring training.
Okay.
He still goes to stuff for work for charities. And the moment you stop learning and stop moving,
I agree.
I think that's when you get old.
You know, it's interesting that we're having this conversation. I have a 65, almost 65-year-old woman who I work out with. And I've told you about Mary Beth. I go there a couple times a week.
She's badass.
She did. She put a video up of her doing pull-ups.
Did you see the push-ups?
She does push-ups on the thingies and then something else, which is just like, and then jumping up on a really high block. And I mean, she's 65. Like you would never know she was 65. And somebody responded to her, "Oh my gosh, I haven't seen you for years. This has got to be AI." And she's like, "No, it's me."
Yeah, I couldn't jump over a credit card, let alone up as high as it had to be 3 feet.
And it's a state of mind. And she has stayed fit and all this stuff. And she kicks the crap out of me. And ever since, by golly, I've been taking this. It's gotten so much worse.
I noticed a difference last night.
Did you?
I did.
I'm telling you what, bloodflow7.com/Wendy. No, stay. /Wendy. 30% off. It's less than $1 a day. This changes your world. Whether you're running a marathon, you're catching three innings of fast pitch men's baseball. You're working out at the gym with a 65-year-old biatch who thinks you're like Rocky. This changes everything. Stop making excuses and get on it and get it.
No.
Because you're going to email me, wendybellradio@gmail.com, and you're going to be like, where have you been all my life? And I'll say, I know.
It does not help for foul balls off the knee and foul balls off the ankles.
That's poopy.
Doesn't help for that.
That's poopy. But it is, I'm just going to tell you.
But I wasn't tired.
I'm going to tell you, it is a game changer. If you're struggling with energy and you're like, man, I'm just getting old. No, stop it. Wendy Bell Radio at gmail.com. You'll email me. Bloodflow7.com /Wendy.
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 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to your daily dose of facts to fight off the liberal gaslighting.
You can be in the middle of a hurricane.
You have sanctuary in the city of Chicago.
Or you can be on a calm day. North is still north. You could be in a thunderstorm.
I am angry. We are not going back. Not ever.
North is still north. People can yell at me.
The hell with the Supreme Court. We will defy them.
North is still north. It doesn't change fundamental things. And in this business, right is still right, even if you stand by yourself.
We don't get fooled again. No.
Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea, we're converting the Marxist left 1 hour at a time on the Wendy Bell radio program.
Hey!
Well, hello, America, and greetings to all of you all across the beautiful fruited plain. Welcome home to the Wendy Bell Radio program, wendybellradio.com if you want to join in the live video stream. You know, I put it out there every day because I don't know many radio programs that broadcast live online as well and that want your feedback and engage with you during the commercial breaks. That's what we do here. And we try to share with you something very specific. It's the truth. You might not like the truth. You might disagree with the truth, but I present it to you and I give you the facts that go with it and the sources to check me so that you can make the best decisions for you and the people that you love. I'm a common sense conservative mom of 5 sons. I love this country. I love where we're heading. And you got to stay in it. You got to stay active with us because we've got a long haul ahead. We're going to get to a great program in just a minute, but the most important part of the show, welcome home. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. You know, I think everybody has that one moment in their life, and we've talked about this many times on this program, where everything kind of in your vision changes. All of a sudden, there's been like a blip on the horizon. There's a zipper in the simulation that opens up, and all of a sudden you have this weird epiphany, and you kind of feel stupid. You're like, oh my gosh, how did I not see this before? And for whatever reason, we're busy, we're doing other things, we're not paying attention, we don't want to know. We kind of go on in many aspects of our life with some semblance of willful blindness. I'll get to it when I get to it. And I've told you many times as well that COVID was that for me, but it was one actual experience beyond watching people in an empty parking lot, holding hands, walking their dogs, both of them wearing masks, for me to be like, what is going on in this country? It was watching my neighbor right across the way from me. Our doors, front doors, face each other. Watching my neighbor during the height of COVID, when we were all trying to stay calm and whatnot, stay home and stay safe, getting their groceries delivered to the house from the local grocery store, which they own. And the wife, literally in a full hazmat suit, coming outside to pick up the bags, and then watching her. I know it sounds voyeuristic and creepy, but bear with me for a minute. Watching her through the kitchen window, wipe every box down, wearing literally like she's in a lab in a petri dish making some experiment. She's at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, right? She's like, let's make this. But no, she's there wiping off it. And then their son had a bar mitzvah. And this is a big deal. This is a very wealthy family. This was going to be like the party of the year, right? Renting out this place. They've got all this stuff. It's going to be the thing to do. And my youngest sons, who are a year older than this boy, were invited, except the mandatory vaccination in order to attend was part of the invitation. And I said to my boys, I said, Bobby, Chris, you're not going. And they looked at me and they were about to be like, but Mom, and they saw it in my eyes. Don't even try. That was where I believe I became the protector of my family. I watched what was going on. I would dig into the data. We studied what Pfizer desperately wanted to keep quiet, in that in the first 90 days the vaccine was given, 1,223 people died. They wanted that put on a shelf. We rummaged through the CDC website. I spent hours every day chewing on every bit of evidence I could find about the vaccine and about how in danger the children of this country were. And they were not. And we did not get that jab. And I put my foot down and I said, no way, no how. I became that proverbial mama bear. Donald Trump had a similar experience, but his wasn't related to a virus. Certainly not one that was diagnosable in a lab. His was on the virus of a stolen election. He had to sit back and watch as he won in a landslide in 2020, to watch the machine cheat against him, carve him out, and then weaponize the Department of Justice, not just to target him, not just to ruin his life, not to destroy his marriage and take away his business, but to go after people who were close to him, people who believed in him. He watched it for 4 years. He became the protector of our country. And when he ran again in 2024, he had a list, to-do list. He'd been creating it for several years. What you're watching now is the President of the United States not doing the job that most presidents do, where they talk a good game and then kind of disappear and to become ineffective or end up doing things that are contrary to what their whole program and platform were. This president is healing America, truly healing America. We are wounded. We are broken. We are divided. We are addicted. We are sick. This president wants to heal this country. And what he's also doing, my friends, he's curing the world. Imagine that. This president doesn't just want what's great for us. He's looking at Venezuela, Ukraine. He's looking at Israel, Palestine. He's looking at Iran, now Cuba, if I didn't already say Cuba. And he sees people suffering, people who have been tortured, people who are starving, people who need medical care, people who have been murdered simply for disagreeing with what a true king, a true tyrant, a true dictator believes. This president, in 4 years, wants to leave a legacy to his grandchildren and to yours, where there is no nuclear war, there are no invaded borders, there are no deranged lunatics who've been deported from their prisons and insane asylums and deported to be here in America to torture us. He wants to get the bums off the street. He wants to get the homeless into homes. He wants to help the addicts get off their drugs. And if you need drugs, he wants you to be able to afford your drugs. He realizes that costs are high now. He does not dismiss that. He's doing everything he can to roll back all of the things that the Democrats did for so many years to break this country. This president said, I'm going to heal it. Every day, there's a new item on his list. And it's not little things either. It's like dismantling the entire education system so we don't keep promoting children who've been failed by a system that's been co-opted by radical lunatic leftists. He's trying to carve back all of the insane gender nonsense that has polluted the minds of Generation Z, particularly the young women. He said to the young men, hey, don't go off the reservation. I understand you are worried about achieving and affording the American dream. Hang with me. We're bringing business back. We're going to bring back manufacturing. Work with your hands. Learn a skill because there is no computer that will take that away from you. And I promise you, the riches will come. We have a president who looks at the calendar and sees 250 years and dreams big things, not just a giant celebration, but the dawn of that golden age. And he's sharing it with people the Democrat Party long ago forgot. They claim they care about humanitarian issues. They claim they care about women. They claim they care about the needy and the hungry and the disenfranchised. But they're the ones who step over them on the sidewalk, ladies and gentlemen, as they go to their cocktail parties and raise money with their deep, dark state donors. This president, the builder, the real estate guy, the business tycoon, the guy who can come in under budget and ahead of schedule, is telling the rest of the world, you have a choice. If there is a tyrant in your way, we will remove him. But you must want liberty yourselves. We're starving for it here, ladies and gentlemen. And what we're watching play out in the Senate, what we're watching play out in the House, is Democrats scramble and rhinos are getting flushed out. This is part of the cure. Now imagine how sick we've been to be this starving for progress. Amen, Mr. President, and Godspeed. Screw the detractors. They have no idea what's coming. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, my friends, got to hear how CNN is covering what the DOJ just did, indicting Raul Castro, 94 years old. What's that going to do? Well, just you wait. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. I almost forgot his name. I'm like, what's his last name again? Ooh, oh, I'm so glad that didn't ding while we were chatting. Okay. I will say, while I love my Blood Flow 7, I want to encourage you guys, if you are struggling on a plateau right now of weight loss and you're so frustrated, you're like, I'm so close. I've got 20 pounds to go, but I'm like right here and I can't nudge it. And it's certainly frustrating. This is where you need to do a little research into thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. This is where you need to make yourself familiar with Dr. Stephen Gundry, because he was right there where you are. This guy is a pediatric heart transplant specialist, like wild brains. But he felt little heavy, 70 pounds heavy. So he started doing the research, sort of like I was picking through the CDC website. He started doing some research, and he created this drink, a powder that is a dietary supplement that does one very specific thing. It completely kills your appetite for 4 to 5 hours. That is enough to skip a meal. That is enough to get you through a very stressful part of your day. That is enough to get you on a cross-country airplane trip. That is enough time to help you slow down the amount of calories that go in so that the amount of weight that you're losing goes up. 70 pounds Dr. Gundry lost. He invites you to research it yourself, read the reviews, listen to the testimonials, do your research, and then why not put a scoop of this stuff in your drink like I do every single day? You're already drinking water. Thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. Game changer. Game changer. And I drink it while I'm at the gym getting my butt kicked by a 65-year-old badass. It's delicious and it's wonderful for those who have significant weight to lose. Got it? Thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. Watch the video because it's super informative. I learned stuff about blueberries that I didn't know about. I was like, say what? All right. He wants to heal. I really do. I really think Donald Trump, and you're going to hear it in this one guy. This one guy's making a snide comment about the president in the CNN panel. But then he makes a really excellent point about how Trump has been paying attention. He's made lists and he's doing things that other presidents promised to do or never even paid attention to. President Trump is tying up all of those loose ends. And he realizes time is short. And he realizes also now he's got the Republican, the rhinos in the Senate turning against him. It's gonna come to a head with Thune. There's going to have to be 5 senators who are going to have to overthrow that cat. And they're going to have to get shit done. It's just the way it's going to have to be. Again, excuse me.
Earmuffs,
Excuse
Haley.
me. Excuse me.
Harley.
Harley, sorry. Yeah, that's right, Larry. I'm sorry. Sorry, Grandpa. Bad Wendy.
Earmuffs.
So we'll get into the Castro stuff coming up in the next half hour, but let's tee it up with a little CNN boo-hoo. Democrat-run city in America right now that's thriving? Is there one? Is Seattle doing a great job? I see Starbucks is thinking about bailing. They're looking at Nashville. They're like, I like Tennessee. Tennessee's nice. Yeah. Yeah, it is. Seattle's not doing that well. How about Portland? Knocking it out of the park in Portland. How about San Francisco? How about Los Angeles, New York, Cleveland, Pittsburgh? Killing it. No. Give me one Democrat city that is doing well today where you'd be like, you know what? I like what those people are up to. I want to get me some of that. No, of course not, which is why there's this exodus. It's so interesting, too, that the DNC just dropped their after 2024 report. It's like 200 pages. And they don't want you to pay attention to it because it basically says the resist Trump idea, go against everything this guy says, regardless of how common sense it is, it's not working because Democrats are starving for a party that represents something other than undoing all of the things that President Trump is trying to fix. I want you to hear the CNN panel last night. So the big news yesterday after we left the studio was the DOJ indicting Raul Castro for, I guess the charges of this indictment include conspiracy to kill U.S. nationals, the destruction of an aircraft, and murder. Okay, so we're going to get into all these details. Those of you who remember the incident back in the day, we're going to remind you, but listen to this. So the DOJ is like to Raul Castro, basically saying, we're going to move you out of Cuba. And the Cuban people are like, oh my gosh. And in Miami, they're freaking out. You got 1.6 million Cuban Americans just in Florida alone. Contributors, CNN's contributor, Lulu Garcia Navarro, she sounds very disappointed that 1.6 million Cuban Americans living in Florida are celebrating for the first time literally in their lives that their homeland can possibly now liberate itself from communism. And she can't resist making a dig. They can't give this guy a victory, can't say maybe this opens the door to something beautiful for Cuba. Listen to this.
I mean, I'm Cuban American, obviously. The folks in Miami are very happy. Rubio is a product of those folks in Florida. This has long been a dream. This also helps Trump politically if it actually goes off because, of course, you have a lot of Miami Cubans, Venezuelans, and others who would look at this very favorably. But, you know, Raul Castro, I'm no fan, is 94 years old. The idea that you're going to be taking this, 94-year-old and dragging him to America is pretty unlikely. This, to me, seems very patently like a PR push, where they're basically holding this over their head. They've been squeezing the island for some time now with shortages of fuel, et cetera, et cetera. So, it's a waiting game to see who cries uncle first, but I do not see in our future either an invasion or an operation to take Raul Castro and make him stand trial in the United States.
I expect by this time next year we'll be talking about Trump's post on Truth Social of making Cuba a 51st state.
Congressman?
I'll take the under on that.
Jonah Goldberg from The Atlantic, what a hack, saying, Trump's going to go in and say, you could be the 51st state. Why wouldn't Cuba want to be the protectees of the United States of America? Why wouldn't they want to be protected in that golden dome that this president is creating here in the Western Hemisphere? Why would they not want what America is doing? And they sit there on their throne on the CNN panel, a Cuban American. And she can't be like, this is a giant day. This is the biggest day in my lifetime for my country. No, I don't know how it's going to happen. He's too old to actually come here. This is who they are. Then you've got contributor Patrick McHenry saying this president is doing basically what all the other presidents failed to do. This is very interesting.
What Secretary Rubio has done is a concerted effort. First, the Venezuelan operation, which then softened up the Cubans, actually further kind of pulled them out of any support system outside the island. And then the actions against the regime in Iran the first weekend, how the devastating consequence on the regime sent a further chilling sign. And all of this stuff is Trump's list of the hardest things in the world that have been left undone, and he's trying to check them off.
The hardest things in the world that have been left undone or that were never even attempted. You guys, it is a frame of mind. You either see something as an obstacle that is insurmountable, therefore why even try? Or you look at it and say, nobody's done it before. Why shouldn't we now? Get it done. Make it happen. Let's go. That's the builder. That's the innovator. That's the billionaire brain of Donald Trump. And former Biden comms babe, you'll remember this chick, Kate Bedingfield. She's forced to admit in this panel that Castro's indictment is wildly popular. But seriously, it's just a distraction from Iran, isn't it? Listen, they can't even give him a win.
I think it's clear from a humanitarian standpoint that the status quo in Cuba for the Cuban people is unsustainable. What the administration ultimately decides to do, we'll see. I agree with Jonah broadly that I think there is some element of, hey, look over here now going on here, given how things are going in Iran. But certainly don't question that this would have enormous popularity in South Florida. And, were they able to make some sort of substantial change, that it would probably be something that Marco Rubio, interested in running for president in 2028,
but what happens
would be
day
very,
two?
Well, exactly.
What happens day 2, day 3, day 4?
What happens day 2, day 3, day 4? That's what you're digging into. This administration is putting the entire world on notice. If you're a tyrant who kills people, who starves people, who rules like a dictator, your days are numbered. We'll be back right after this. Right? And so all they can say, and the Cuban American woman, she looks like she's going to cry. And I'm like, see, your country is not bigger than party to you. All you want to do is push whatever hack lefty ideas you have. And you can't get beyond that bubble to be like, wow, what a beautiful time. It's going to be a rough road. We'll see what happens. It's very early to tell. But basically, the Cuban people have been told, yeah, America's got your back. This guy shouldn't be in charge anymore. You guys should take your country back. We'll move him out of the way. You ready to go? And if Iran is paying attention, you guys pay attention, please, because you're next. That's basically the message. And CNN can only bitch. Well, what's going to happen on day 2? Okay. I want to tell you about Kelly Morgan, Morgane's Fitness. I love getting people who respond to me about her 90-day Ignite program. And I think it's great because it's a finite amount of time. You give her 90 days. She gives you all the exercises, gives them to you on video so you can look at them and do them in your own living room, in your office, in private if you wish, whatever you want to do. And she helps you change how you're eating. So what happens? You lose a lot of weight. And the people who are finding their muscles again are so excited. The emails I get, this has been a life changer to me. Morgane's Fitness. Again, one of these things, you do not need to be in Western Pennsylvania where we are. Do not need to be here in Pennsylvania to be a part of this, even though that's where Kelly Morgan's things are located, or gyms. This is online. Morgainsfitness.com. MORGAINZ. Morgainsfitness.com. Changing people's lives, losing inches, losing fat, losing weight, gaining strength, gaining confidence, and getting your body back in 90 days. I could do it. I watched Brock do it. Not the 90 Ignite, but I watched him shrink 70 pounds. It's remarkable when you put your mind to something, how it works. So Brock, what's your take on the sour grapes there? Like, nobody ever is... The left is never happy for America or happy for the potential for somebody else to live in peace.
Well, they realize, I think, if you give him wins, you got to remember that the people watching CNN hate Donald Trump. And you can't expose them, if you're CNN, to him winning. Because if he's winning and he's doing good for the country,
and somehow you're losing,
you might lose their vote. Maybe they go, oh, well, he's not running again. So, but if these guys who I can sort of like tolerate are going to keep going in the same direction as Donald Trump, maybe they're worth voting for. Like, yeah, you all of a sudden.
Whoa.
I don't know if it was that one or the other one.
It's this one. It just got really bright.
I don't know. I just think they can't give him a win because it's Donald Trump. It literally is TDS.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
and it's so far that he's forcing people to show me what you would prefer. You'd prefer transgender stuff. You would prefer criminals being out on the street killing people on trains. You would prefer wide open borders. You'd prefer all these rules and regulations. You'd prefer terrorism. You'll prefer Iran.
You defend communism.
Mm-hmm.
They're actually now defending Cuba and their people not having water or food or electricity.
Mm-hmm.
Like, at what point are you saying humanitarian doesn't count anymore? How does humanitarianism not count only when Donald Trump's involved?
Right.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting time to watch what's going on. And Marco Rubio, I love that one Kate Bedingfield was like, Marco Rubio's presidential hopes for 2028. He's made no illusions. He's like, look, JD is the guy who's in the race, right? I would never run against him. And my friend, right? They're both young, so it would be hilarious if you could get 8 of one or 8 of another. And at this rate, when you look at the postmortem for the DNC, it basically shows that they've been losing voters and losing momentum, losing the messaging wars, losing everything for the better part of 20 years, right? And they've done the same playbook. And then when Trump came around, it was like this new focus. It breathed life into their ire. But all along the way, we saw what they did in the 4 years that they were there. It was maniacal. It was nutty. Let's see what you guys are up to. It's great to see you. Hello. We have 1.33 rumbles, which is me, but I'm glad you're here. 3,800 people on. We're killing it over here on X, 154. Hi, I'm glad you're here. And let's see what you guys are talking about.
If you're on Rumble and you have an X account, please share the show. If you're on Rumble and you have a Facebook account, share the show. Tell people to get a Rumble account.
Or 8 of both. That's what I meant, Nita. You're right. I love you. I love Wendy. Oh, thanks, Brazil Wylan. Hi. You may have a larger following if your show started at 11:30 a.m. Ah.
No, that's not going to happen.
That's not. Thank you, though. I appreciate it. So let's talk about what happened yesterday, because the big news isn't that there's some big sweeping change that's happened in Cuba right now, but it's the door opening and seeing that crack of sunlight when you've been in the hole, right? And it's like, it's blinding. It's like, oh my gosh, because you haven't seen it. The people of Cuba haven't had freedom any more than the people of Venezuela have, any more than the people of Iran have, right? And there's one dude who's trying to tie up all these loose ends, which are actually giant obstacles, carving out outdated, wrong-thinking leaders, by the way, who are dictators, terrorists, murderers, et cetera, et cetera. And Trump is forcing the Democratic Party to put their eggs again in another bad actor's basket. So here's the story. Federal prosecutors Wednesday charging former Cuban President Raul Castro with ordering the 1996 shutdown of civilian planes operated by Miami-based exiles, a major escalation of pressure by the Trump administration on the socialist government. President Donald Trump has set a calamitous energy blockade on the island and has been threatening military action ever since U.S. forces captured the Cuban government's longtime patron, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. Two police officers who helped defend the U.S. Capitol from an attack by a mob of President Donald Trump's supporters, we should say. This is another thing that's going on. It's branching off into another story. But this story about Castro being least removed, you're going to come back to the United States. You're going to face something. Is it going to happen, or is he going to get that sweetheart of a deal that they offered Nicolas Maduro? We're going to bring you here. You're going to talk to us. And then probably what's going to happen is they'll bounce him somewhere into exile because he'll sing like a bird. They're going to bring Castro, hopefully, ideally, back to the United States or here to the United States to face charges for the killing of Americans who were doing like Roberto Clemente's work in 1970 when his plane went down, right? And so we're going to get you out one way or another. The door is cracked. The Cuban people, right, who don't have access to basic necessities, and their regime doesn't care, much like Iranian regime doesn't care about the people. This president does. Where are all the humanitarians on the left? Where are all the people championing the rights of those who've been trampled in these countries? They're silent. They are deranged. They need Trump gone. And so even these beneficial moves around the world, it's not swaying them at all. But we got some audio sound bites that are interesting for you to hear. This on CBS News yesterday with the backstory and why this is so huge today. This is I think, a very fair assessment of what this means to millions of Cuban Americans. Listen.
Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche insisted the charges against Cuba's Raul Castro, Fidel's brother, were not for show.
There was a warrant issued for his arrest, so we expect that he will show up here by his own will or by another way.
Castro allegedly ordered the 1996 fatal shootdown of the Miami-based Brothers to the Rescue aid group, which flew unarmed planes to rescue or guide Cuban migrants.
One of the Brothers to the Rescue planes flies 2 miles into Cuban airspace.
Castro faces 4 counts of murder and conspiracy to kill 4 U.S. nationals. Past presidents acted against Cuba but did not prosecute the Castros. In Havana, President Obama even tried to persuade then-President Raul Castro to open up the communist country. Today, Blanche could not explain what new evidence the Justice Department had to charge a 30-year-old crime.
We'll see what happens, but we're freeing up Cuba.
It comes as President Trump threatens, quote, a friendly takeover. He's demanded Cuba expel U.S. adversaries. Russia's largest overseas listening post is there. China has one as well. CIA Director John Ratcliffe delivered that message to Raul Castro's grandson and intel leaders in Havana last week, suggesting that if they cooperate to change the communist system, the U.S. will prevent financial collapse and an energy crisis that has left Cuba facing protests amid a near total blackout.
The place is falling apart. It's a mess, and they've sort of lost control. They've really lost control of Cuba.
That is the story from the president. They've lost control of Cuba. We are going to liberate Cuba. Can you imagine? I want you to hear more of what he said. He says, we're there. The Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, is there. The CIA is there. One way or another, it shall be done. Here's Trump.
Well, we have a lot of people there. We had CIA there. We have Marco is there. Marco's parents, as you know, were from Cuba. So we have a lot of expertise in Cuba. And it's not going to be like the biggest thing we've ever done, but I will tell you, to a lot of people, it's going to be one of the most important. They've been looking for this moment for 65 years. So we'll see what happens. But we're going to, in the meantime, we're going to have to help them out. They have no way of living. They have no food. They have no electricity. They have no energy at all. But they do have great people. There are a lot of great people. I mean, I have so many Cuban friends in Miami, mostly in Miami and Florida, and they're unbelievable people. They're unbelievable entrepreneurs, and they'd like to go back. I think hopefully they're going to want to live here, but they want to go back. Maybe they'll invest. We'll see what happens. But we're freeing up Cuba.
I think it's so interesting as the Democrat Party is losing Black voters, as people are walking away from the empty promises and the ire, right? The ire that we have for just fake representation as our country suffers. You've got these people all around the world who are like, please, anybody, this president is doing so much more than what he's doing here in this country. He's sending a message. This planet is done. We're done with wars. We're done with dictators. We're done with suffering and slavery and wrongful imprisonment and starvation. And we believe in freedom and liberty. This is Stephen Miller yesterday. And he's like, look, the reason why this indictment came, we might have forgotten what happened in 1996, but this president didn't.
Long-awaited justice is being set in motion for the Americans who were viciously and brutally murdered by the Castro regime, by this communist outpost 90 miles off the shores of the United States of America. Many Americans may not realize this history. You had American planes, civilian planes, unarmed, running humanitarian missions in international waters, and Raul Castro and the Cuban Communist military ordered them shot from the sky, murdering our American brothers. And now today, finally, accountability is coming for Castro.
Now, the charges come as tensions between America and Cuba have heightened in recent weeks. In a statement read on state television, the Havana government condemned the despicable accusation made against Castro, even though he admitted that he's the guy that said, bring it down, bring down the plane. 30 years in the making, guys. Todd Blanche saying the move against Castro. He says this isn't some performance. This isn't some theatrical display like when Democrats get up and they try to tell you that they care about suffering and they're there for the downtrodden, the little guy, and the injustices, and usually they're the ones causing the injustices, and then like the firefighter arsonist coming in and being like, but we have a fix. It involves your taxes, but it's cool. You'll love this, right? It's not a show indictment, Todd Blanche says. It's the result of an investigation. 30 years in the making. What do you think Nicolas Maduro had to say about this? What do you think he contributed to the intel? I'm sure he did. I'm sure he did. You want to live life in prison, or do you want to be exiled somewhere else that's nice and free for you? It just never can come back. So the possible life sentence here, 94-year-old Castro could face maximum sentence of life in prison if he's convicted of conspiracy to kill U.S. nationals. Senator Ashley Moody of Florida said yesterday. Stephen Miller continues. He's like, look, Cuba is the world's last communist outpost. This president is doing exactly what we said at the beginning. He's tying up the loose ends and he's shotting things off of his list.
Very important point about Cuba, which many Americans also may not realize but need to know. Cuba, positioned just a 45-minute flight from American shores, has been a staging ground for America's adversaries for decades. It is the last outpost of communism. It is the last outpost of the Cold War. American presidents for generations have tried to deal with the problem, the threat of this communist foothold just miles away from America's shores. And President Trump, through his leadership and his vision, has brought us closer than ever to the day when Cuba will be free and when Cuba will no longer be a threat to America, but Cuba will be a friend and partner to America, which is essential for our national security.
I said it couldn't be done. It's too big a task. It's not our role. We got enough problems here at home. We had Joe Biden, who wasn't alert, who had no idea what was going on. There was no way he could answer reporters' questions. There was no conceivable way in which he could have a press conference. He was not capable. And they put him in anyway. This president, he's like, I got 3 years to go. Let's make it happen. Fix the problem. Indict the ruler, open the door so the citizens can see the sunlight. Fox had an interview yesterday with a Cuban American, a man who fled as a child, I believe. And I love this stoic man overcome by emotion. That's something he thought he would never see in his lifetime. Is now a possibility. Listen.
He left Cuba in 1961 when you were just 15 years old.
That is correct.
Tell me about what today means in the news of the indictment of Raul Castro.
It means some justice for the Cuban people. For 67 years, I'm sorry, we have been ignored by everybody, the United Nations, the Organization of American States, the European Union, everybody. So we hope this is the beginning of the downfall of the Castro regime. Sorry, little emotional. And we're ready to go back and help in the reconstruction of our country. With work, with money, with investment, and with love. That has been lacking in Cuba for the last 6 decades.
I just think of all things you hear today, it is that. Now maybe I can go back and I can help my homeland rebuild and we can get it back to what it was. Nobody else would help. One guy did. Okay. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, reason 11 billion. Why polls are completely unbelievable. Do you really think President Trump is underwater on immigration? I mean, like, really? I got to talk to you guys about this. Coming up next on the Wendy Bell radio program. That man, though, like, I have no idea. I know that I traveled, the farthest I've been was, where did I go? Cartagena, Colombia. And I remember coming back home, this is 1989, and literally dropping to the ground at LAX and kissing the disgusting floor. Because it's just, it's even if as a tourist, it's like, I remember MPs on all of the corners. They had the guns. You had to stay at the resort. You couldn't go very far. You couldn't see very much. It was totally strict. And I'm like, why are we here again? That was the trip I won on the dating game.
think about this: 1.5 million Cuban Americans,
all the votes
in Miami, Florida, or wherever in Florida. Let's say 100,000, just 10%, not less than 10%, go back to Cuba. That makes your housing market open up and more affordable.
And those people who have money go back and invest in the homeland because they too, like Donald Trump, have a legacy that they'd like to leave behind. That's something I find very interesting about his cabinet. Think about the billionaires on his cabinet, Brock. Think about Kelly Loeffler. Think about Besant, Lutnick, McMahon. These are all uber wealthy people. Why are they doing this? They need to work. They need to keep working that way. No, they're all of retirement age. It's a legacy thing. It's got value. It's a history thing. They want to leave a mark. I want to tell you what will make your hands, your feet, your elbows, anything on your body that isn't as soft and smooth as you want it to be. Tulip Blooms is my go-to skincare line. I have so enjoyed all of the various products that they have sent me. And I would not get up here and gush about them and say, you should totally get these products if they weren't fantastic. They are fantastic. Look, you get one shot at teeth, you get one shot at skin, and if you haven't loved yours, you should. Tulip Blooms, this is my favorite thing, is their velour massaging oil. Their castor blend, the blue face one, oh my gosh. The cleanser, the body butters, the balms. You put this, a pump in your hand and rub it in and it gets warm. You know, it gets warm and you rub it in your hands anywhere where you feel like your skin just needs a little extra. Let it soak in for a few minutes. And then all day long, you notice a change in it. It's amazing and it's wonderful. tulipblooms.shop/Wendy. My name is going to get you 10% off. And they're constantly putting out new stuff. It's a small business, mom and pop. I think they're based out of Texas. And they're constantly innovating, coming up with new ideas, but it's all medicinally based, essential oils, things that occur in nature that are healing to you, and they feel phenomenal. tulipblooms.shop/Wendy. Love them. It just, you can even tell. You can even see it, feel it in your cuticles. It's like you got a manicure. You're welcome. tulipblooms.shop/Wendy. My name, 10% off. You just want opportunity. And in communist regimes, you don't have opportunity. You're told what to do, and if you don't do it, you get killed, or you get imprisoned, or you become punished in some way. That's not libertad. That is not liberty. That is not freedom. That's oppression. This president is anti-oppression. Why is he the only guy who's out there saying, let's get it done? But if you listen to the polls, which are ridiculous, apparently Donald Trump's approval rating, he's underwater when it comes to immigration. Oh, yeah, because everybody's super upset that he closed the border and there's not been one border crosser in one calendar year. Not one person who came across and entered our country illegally in 1 year. Donald Trump, right? Laura Ingraham calls it out. He's like this. She says to this pollster named Mark Penn, she's like, do you really believe these polls? What do you see in your crystal ball, your magic 8 ball about the midterms? Here's the pollster.
So I think there's a lot here. Trump remains, as you've pointed out, politically powerful, no question about it. I think these midterms are going to generally be a lot closer. I think Iran will be resolved. I think gas prices will come down. And I think the president will be a powerful campaigner, no question.
And Mark, I'll tell you what I don't believe at all are these poll questions that say Trump is trailing on the issue of immigration. I'm sorry, I don't believe that. I don't think that's borne out in any sense of reality. Do you agree with me?
I completely agree with you. It's absolutely his strongest issue.
It's ridiculous.
Look, it is it is a moody electorate, but as I like to say, look, the only people they like less than the Republicans is the Democrats.
Thank you.
If you really look at the polling, and that is the reality.
And North Carolina now is going to be the race to watch coming up. It's an open seat in a swing state with Tom Tillis resigning. Democrats have not won a U.S. Senate seat in North Carolina since 2008. Trump won North Carolina in 24 by only about 3%. And there are a few states like North Carolina that are pivotal. Who wins there almost certainly will determine the majority of the party, the majority party, and control of the agenda, the committee chairmanships, the ability to pass or block legislation. How's it been going so far with the Republicans' rhino class, Mark Penn, pollster Mark Penn?
Trump endorsed former RNC chair Michael Whatley to replace retiring, I'm just so naughty, Thom Tillis in the Senate. Tom Tillis, sorry. But this has always been a tight race. Tillis was winning by fewer than 2 points in both of those prior races. Trump won the state by 3 points. But looking at this latest polling, Cooper is ahead by 11 points against Whatley. What are we looking at here?
Well, this is a tough race for Republicans. This is probably the toughest race. I mean, you know, Cooper is well known. He has a good record, generally polled pretty well. He wasn't seen as a crazy in terms of the Democratic candidates out there. So I think this is a tough race. Now, it's obviously going to close. It's not going to be 10 points. There's a lot to go here in terms of the Republicans and what they're going to spend and put behind the race. But this is definitely a tough race for Republicans.
So two-term Democrat Governor Roy Cooper polling of 9 to 10 points ahead of Trump-endorsed former RNC chair Michael Whatley. This is going to be a very interesting metric. This is going to be a huge litmus test for how much influence does this president have on galvanizing the vote behind someone like a Michael Whatley. Then Laura Ingraham has Ken Paxton on, who, as you well know, has been endorsed now by Donald Trump. And rhinos like John Cornyn saying Paxton, if he wins the runoff next Tuesday, is certainly going to lose to James Tallarico. Here's what Ken Paxton has to say about that.
Oh, look, this is a John Cornyn talking point. Because he doesn't have anything to run on, he doesn't have any accomplishments, his only talking point has been basically that I can't win a general election. There's no proof of that. There's no polling that says that. Exactly, the polls say just the opposite. I either do just as well as John Cornyn or I do better. So once we have the chance to vet this guy, he's not been vetted. There wasn't really a serious opponent for him in the Democratic primary. Once Tallarico's been vetted, I am convinced that Texans will reject what he's pushing.
Yeah, once all of the information about how weird and wacky and just not electable James Tallarico is, Ken Paxton, and even President Trump was like, I'm not concerned. I believe he's going to have it in the bag. Well, let's look at what the chances were. So Ken Paxton's chances of winning in the betting markets, if you will, 66% on Monday, 66%, beating John Cornyn. Then Donald Trump on Tuesday endorsed him. And now Ken Paxton's chances of winning 95%. You know, I don't even think Bill Clinton came close to galvanizing a movement like this president. When we come back, hour number 2 of the Wendy Bell radio program, the Rhino Revenge Tour. John Thune cannot hide his seething anger that Trump has gone rogue. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Okay. It's so interesting, just purging all of the bad things that have happened. It's like that the pendulum that went so far and went so crazy, and it's just starting now to get peeled back a little bit. But it takes a while to undo the danger or the damage that was done. We'll see. Trump's telling the people of Cuba, it's your country. We're not there. The CIA was there, but they're like, we're not installing anybody. This president isn't trying to push out, what's her name, Rodriguez in Venezuela. You know, they're not trying to push her out. She was the VP under Maduro, so she assumes that position. And Trump's like, I really hope you can work with us because you kind of have to. but they're not installing their own candidates. Trump wants the people to decide. The Democrats, it seemed, just want to decide for the people, right? There's a difference. Trump wants the people to decide. Democrats want to decide for the people. Whether or not that's what you want, they want to decide for you. It's not working out. And I can't wait to read the postmortem on the DNC's 2024 loss, epic loss from Kamala Harris.
Can I just say, I'm going to talk to somebody in the chat. Anna 88 Joy telling us to wake up. No one's going after you maliciously for disagreeing. First off, you're saying that Thomas Massey, hold people accountable. That's what the voters did. Thomas Massey said, I'm going to read the Epstein list. He made the Epstein list his hill to die.
That was his platform. Yeah.
And guess what he did? As much as he called everybody out and he was for the victims, he did squat. He didn't do anything. He was all balls until someone called his bluff and he didn't get up and say the names. So, holding people accountable, it's not rah-rah for Trump. It's at least he's doing something.
The progress.
Yeah, something.
And so the whole DNC postmortem was hey, you can't just run on resist Trump. People need more. Right? And the more he chips away at things like this, checking things off of his list, the unfinished business, the world's unfinished business, think about all the Latinos who are watching. Think about all of the Hispanics in California. Think about the Cubans in Miami. Think about all of these people in Texas, in Arizona, the Latin population in this country, the Mexicans, all of them. You think they like this guy? 100%. It'll be interesting. I don't know. Is this the woman who's been chirping me on X, or is it she's chirping in the chat?
I don't know.
That's
okay.
I
really don't care if you disagree.
Yeah, and some people, you know what? My son, Bobby, asked me yesterday about what do you think about Thomas Massey getting voted out? And I said, the things that we've talked about on this program. I'm like, he voted against the CARES Act. I have strong support for that, right? And I believe what he believes in, and I believe in his right to believe in it. But then something weird happened.
Thomas Massey changed in the last 2 years.
And JD Vance said his wife died. And it's like that was a change. And then he started down this path of anti-Trump everything. And he voted obstreperously against everything. I want to talk quickly about Texas Bullion Exchange. WendyLovesGold.com. They are obviously so delighted with the response they've gotten from you. We're going to be rolling out some interesting things I think you're going to be very curious about. But one of the things I like is that this is what you can get. They have great offerings there at WendyLovesGold.com. Among them, a bunch of various Trump coins and other things. You don't have to be 100% Trump supporter to want to have a piece of history. And to have a piece of silver, to have a brick of silver, a bar of gold, to have coins, to have value in your retirement portfolio is so important. You could get the physical precious metals, or you can get a gold IRA. And 855-927-5557. They'll help you do that. If you have an IRA, they'll help you get metals into it. If you don't, they'll help you start one. And if you just have money sitting somewhere not doing anything for you, get in touch with them. WendyLovesGold.com, 855-927-5557. I have several Trump commemorative things. They're all limited edition things, and they're really enjoyable. Something that just is going to grow in value over time, unlike the value of the dollar. WendyLovesGold.com. You can trust these people. I trust them. They're good people. Good people. John Thune. Carl Higbee he's a crack up. I love him. And how about Joey Jones?
Re-enlisting?
In the Marines. Had his legs blown off in Afghanistan. And he's going back. He's re-enlisting because this president kind of creates a vibe in you, doesn't he?
Well, I mean, tell me Joey Jones won't be great for recruiting. I mean, dude has a love of country and love of service.
To come back physically disfigured, to come back half, and to say, yeah, dude,
I still believe in this.
Right? Meanwhile, other people are like, if something happens, I'm going to Canada.
I think accountability is different for everybody. I think there's a lot of things. Happiness is different than for everybody. How much money you have, what you consider rich, what you consider what you consider for accountability is different for everybody. I think Trump's holding the world accountable. And if you don't think Cuba's a threat with China there, with Russia there, are you crazy?
Accountable.
I don't have a problem with it.
The CNN panel the one guy went on, Henry McMaster or whatever his name is. He went on further to say that all of these moves that Trump is making is to put the squeeze on China. Probably. I could see that. He's giving China an option and Russia. Why don't we all work together? Why don't we all work together? That's not complicated. Right? Whoever thought?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell. Inspiring solutions to save America one show at a time. Are you ready to get on board?
They believe that they can destroy this bond that exists between you and Trump if they somehow make Trump look bad, make Trump look like a reprobate, embarrass you about Trump. They can't do it because you came before Trump. Desperately want Trump gone, and I know that they desperately want it codified, that Trump cannot run again, because make no mistake, they remain scared to death of you, and they remain scared to death of Trump. Trump, 75 million, 80 million votes. And I'm going to tell you, you're not going. From Make America Great Again.
From sea to shining sea, 3 hours of bold truth and excellence. The Wendy Bell Radio Program.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 of the Wendy Bell Radio Program is live, and I'm so excited to soon be able to announce to you that we've hit 8 million podcast downloads. We are that close. I think it's like, I don't know, 100,000, 150,000 away. So if you have yet not gotten our podcast, wherever you get your listening material, Wendy Bell Radio, I hope you join our family. Accountability means so much. Saying you're going to do something and then following through. We've lived in a country where accountability has almost become a dirty word, where in order to win elections, you promise the moon and the stars and all the aliens that we don't know about it, but you never deliver. And what we're coming out of, and this president is shining a light on, is all these beleaguered cities that have bought into the garbage, that are failing, that are dying. People are moving away from it. They're leaving the liberal ideas because they don't work. And what's worse is the liberal ideas are always based on some kind of presumed do-goodery. It requires a victim. somebody who needs somebody to ride in on the white horse and save the day. And the Democrats want to be those people. That's their moral function. It's their lifeblood. It's what pulses through their veins. This sanctimonious do-goodery of idiocy, I call it. But yet what they do is never good. It does not benefit the people they say it's going to benefit. If anything, it uses those people, makes them more victim, right? More of a victim class. And then when it's time for another election, they point fingers at somebody else who wasn't in charge and think that that's going to suffice. This worked for a while. But in 2016, we said enough. In 2020, we were aghast when we watched what they did. And much like the president, we took notes. We paid attention. We followed who said what and did what. And we stewed. And we chewed on it. And we waited for the time to take our country back. And at that point, they couldn't cheat big enough. Too big to rig. This is the reckoning. This is that moment. And I, for one, am delighted. Well, Tuesday, it wasn't just your typical primary night. It was a warning shot. Trump-backed candidates racked up major wins all over the country, as you know. But meantime, rhinos, anti-Trumpers, and old guard GOPers either lost or found themselves looking a whole lot weaker. You know about Massey losing in Kentucky after repeatedly breaking with the president on major issues. Rhino Bill Cassidy lost his primary after years of battles with MAGA voters. You did not listen to what we wanted, and you were eliminated. Speaking of Cassidy, he's now planning his lame duck revenge tour. Have you heard about this? Refusing to vote for President Trump's ballroom security funding after losing his seat to Trump's primary challenger. So this is the revenge tour. It's exactly why Cassidy needed to go. I'm not going to vote for you. I'm not going to vote for what you want. Screw your stupid ballroom and the safety and security apparatus that's 6 floors down. That is very essential to this White House and to futures, by the way. Regardless, little by little, many believe that the swamp is draining. It's not just rhinos. You got Al Green and Jasmine Crockett. You got Dan Crenshaw, Eric Swalwell, Mitch McConnell, Nancy Pelosi, Don Bacon, Jerry Nadler, Bill Cassidy getting carved out, draining the swamp bit by bit. President Trump has been saying this since 2015. The Georgia Supreme Court had a great day as well. The Obama-backed candidates went down in a ball of flames. And you got to love Brad Raffensperger sucking wind, his right-hand man in Georgia, Gabe Sterling, losing his primary bid as well. Do you think the old guard of the Republican Party, which has been ineffective probably my entire lifetime, are they getting the message? Oh, they've got the message, but they're going to make sure they put the squeeze on everything this president wants. We're going to vote against everything you want to do. And so now you've got Republicans voting with Democrats on the president's Iran war powers. They would literally put the national security of not just this country, but the world in the crosshairs so that they can score a petty political point on their way out the door. That's not class. That's disgrace. And I loved how Carl Higbie yesterday, last night on Newsmax on his show, opened the door to it and walked right through it. He said, do you believe any of these polls that tell you this president who is doing so much, who's not just doing it here in America, but all around the planet, who has goals for everybody to achieve and to have this golden age? Do you really believe that his approval ratings are so low? It's outlandish. Here's Carl Higbie.
I really don't know how many more sweeping primary wins Trump needs to have before the rhinos understand that this is not the old guard, business as usual Republican Party. This is Trump's party. So pass the Save America Act, John Thune, or you're probably going to be next. Trump batted 1,000 last night, 37-0.
I know how to win.
Are you worried about
Some of them don't know how to win. I know how to win.
Sir.
I think I've proven that, haven't I?
Look, I'll get to the highly contested and most expensive race with Massey being unseated in just a second. But I look at these polls where all the libs are screaming, oh, Trump's approval is in the toilet. Is it? Is it? And if it is, then please explain to me in crayon how last night Donald Trump unseated perhaps the most established rhino infrastructure in the country. Look, it may not be happening overnight, but Trump is disassembling the rhino class that took 50 to 60 years to establish, guys.
Amazing. And after Tuesday, I mean, honestly, a night where Trump-backed candidates crushed their primaries. The pressure inside the GOP has now changed dramatically because if John Cornyn looks vulnerable in Texas, then John Thune's entire power structure is also vulnerable. Of course, he's not ready to throw his hands up just yet. Thune isn't. He didn't waste any time going after Trump. He said this, came out against Trump's $1.8 billion anti-weaponization fund. Of course, that was the money that's going to go to all of the people, the January 6ers who were wrongly prosecuted, whose lives were ruined, who were bankrupted, who lost their homes, who lost everything. Thune said, yeah, I'm not a big fan. I'm not sure exactly how they intend to use it, but my understanding is that it was just announced. But yeah, I don't really see a purpose for it. If you don't see the wronging of 1,500 Americans who got captured in some giant smokescreen trap on January 6th, get your bags and get the hell out of the Senate. 5 senators, it's all that's needed to replace John Thune as the majority leader. Do you think they're chewing on that? Carl Higbee comes back and he says, look, this president hasn't just unplugged the swamp to drain it of rhinos. He's obliterated the Senate's ruling class of do-nothing, so-called conservatives.
He took out Jeb in 2016. Then Liz Cheney made her lose her primary by 30 points to Harriet Hagman, who we love. And now he's ended Bill Cassidy, Tom Tillis, likely John Cornyn with his Paxton endorsement. I actually can't imagine Ken Paxton not winning his primary in Texas and the general election against the, oh, God is non-binary Democrat. Look, that guy has about a 0 chance in Texas. I don't care what poll you show me. There is no way Tallarico wins. But other rhinos, like Susan Collins, I don't understand why Trump endorsed Paxton. Really? Are you senile? This explains why nothing is getting done in the Senate and perfectly explains why Trump endorsed Paxton in the first place. Good luck in your race, Collins, against the guy who masturbates in porta-johns. That's Graham Platter. Those are his words, not mine, on a podcast. But also, maybe the biggest win of the night that no one is really talking about, crushing the Mitch McConnell machine. People do not understand how big a deal this is. Mitch McConnell, for 40 years, during 6 presidents, he blocked nominees. He killed legislation that Trump wanted, by the way. He was a major, major rhino player, basically running the Senate GOP since I was born.
You know, he represents, Mitch McConnell does, that line, you can't win for losing. Because you've got these old fossil establishment folks who call themselves Republican, who don't do the things that we, the people, want. That is how MAGA came to be. That is how MAGA created Trump. That's how that went down. And now those days are done. Pass the SAVE Act. This is going to happen before the midterms, and it's going to happen imminently, I believe. It's going to have to. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, well, he certainly sounds nice. The Democrat darling Graham Plattner may be a brand of toxic that tests the depths of the Democrats' desperation. Oh, yeah, next. This guy is wild. Wild. Everything you could buy. If he could be a child rapist, a murderer, if he could be involved in those, infected ticks that Bill Gates been sending out all over the place. Have you been following that story, Brock?
Oh, yes. We need to talk about it. Maybe tomorrow.
I've been trying to watch how it's been playing out.
I'll tell you who to call.
Okay.
I want you to call Dr. Mike.
Dr. Mike.
And just say, what's up with the ticks?
Mm-hmm.
Because he's going to give you the scientific. He's going to explain...
ticks are vessels of disease.
Yes. I have never heard Dr. Mike say, I hate anything except ticks. He's like, they provide no
value
in anything.
Yeah. And then imagine if they're trying to make a certain kind of like engineered tick that's
Lone
got
Star tick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and the reason we don't, I will say this, Pet Show Saturday morning, 10 a.m. The reason we don't talk about ticks like that is we try not to be political on the Pet Show. But we talk about ticks every weekend.
You know, let's see, what do we want to talk about? Shoot one out at me, Brock. Health revolution. We got a story coming up later in the show. There is a mass exodus out of these Obamacare marketplace plans. And so the Affordable Care Act stuff is going to collapse. And it's going to be awful. And it's going to be a mess. And it was a predictable mess when Barack Obama started getting involved in it. Because there's nothing that the government does well. And it's all a grift, as you well know, right? So their whole goal there was to get as much people involved in this, force mandatory participation so that the well who outnumber the sick, right, would be squeezed because it would be so expensive they'd never go and use it. And then the money from them would be there to take care of the super sick. Well, then the healthy people are like, no, I'm just going to drop it all together. Screw off. I can't afford it. Now it's collapsing. Health Revolution is what you need to know about. info.healthrevolution.net. Health Revolution is a new way to think about insurance. You don't have to get this policy that has all this jazz in it that you don't need. Why not have an a la carte plan that you dictate? What do you need? What kind of coverage do you want? Then you put it together. They put out the plan for you and you save what, 30 to 60%? You don't have to squeeze into some open enrollment time crunch. You enroll when you want. And if you call 800-868-6187, they're going to talk to you about how it works. If you're self-employed, if you're on COBRA, if you're 26 and have been booted off of your parents' insurance, if you're dropping out of Obamacare because it's unaffordable, if you're under the age of 65 and you're in relatively good health, you're going to love this. info.healthrevolution.net. 800-868-6187. People, no copays. You choose your doctor. They don't. And deductibles that are affordable. I know. It's crazy. Info.healthrevolution.net. You're going to be like, you're welcome. Again, you're welcome. Where's Sarah McBride from? Whatever, Tim McBride.
Yeah.
Is that Delaware? Isn't it Joe Biden's suck state? Sorry if you're from Delaware, but Tim McBride. Tim.
Yeah. I'm not playing his game either.
No.
You're a dude.
I know. Stop it. So, you know the name Tim McBride? No, but you know Sarah McBride, who's an alleged, a tranny congressperson from Delaware, I think. These are the kinds of people that the Democrats are getting their eggs in the basket for. I don't understand that. Brock, yeah, I've got them ancillary audio. Thank you very much. How do you get behind somebody who's lying to everybody about who they are, who pushes an agenda that the majority of us don't want? Well, then, if you think about that individual, it's not a stretch at all that the Democrats would put their eggs in the basket of Graham Plattner, Democrat Senate candidate, who has apparently mocked a Purple Heart recipient, calling him a dumb MFer who didn't deserve to live. See, this is where the internet is unfortunate when you say dumb things, because you can't erase the Wayback Machine. Past Reddit posts from Maine Senate candidate Graham Plattner, this is the dude taking on Susan Collins, I mean, is he like the only person who's worse than Susan Collins? What a bummer. Well, these Reddit posts have surfaced again, this time, showing the 41-year-old Democrat mocking a U.S. soldier who was shot 4 times in Afghanistan, writing, "Dumb MFer didn't deserve to live." This video never gets old, Plattner wrote in a June 2019 Reddit post, referring to a viral video featuring Private First Class Ted Daniels in a 2012 firefight with the Taliban. Could have been Joey Jones, who's also in Afghanistan and lost both of his legs and just re-enlisted in the Marines. Look at the juxtaposition of what you get with the Democrats. This guy is mocking an American shot 4 times by the Taliban in 2012, right? Guy got a Purple Heart for his injuries, as he should have. Dumb MFer didn't deserve to live, the Democrat Senate hopeful, whose archived Reddit rants can be found on the main monitor's database, said in his since deleted post. Why would you delete it if that's how you feel? Trying to hide from the American people who you are. Your tats don't tell us. Plattner went on to write, at least his stupidity and fat ass wheezing are available for all future infantrymen to witness and hold in contempt. Poor marksmanship on the Taliban's part is the only reason this mouth breather made it home. He managed to make every possible crap decision, it's not the word he used, possible when it comes to small unit combat. The unearthed posts come from a deleted but archived Reddit account known as P. Hustle, which Plattner previously acknowledged was his. I mean, former Navy SEAL and Marine veteran Adam Schwarz, who's running for Senate in Minnesota, said Plattner's past social media conduct is not normal. Well, thank goodness. He says, we don't make jokes about our brothers and sisters dying. It's not something we do. The Minnesota Republican Senate candidate said. Schwarz added that while Marines can sometimes have a dark sense of humor and give each other a hard time privately, Graham Plattner's Reddit post goes well too far. We don't post about our brothers getting wounded in action, he maintained, adding that he believes Plattner has mental issues. I feel badly for him, he said. I feel like he should get some help. He deserves help from his time downrange, from his PTSD, and his mental health issues, but he certainly should not be running for the United States Senate. Now, say what you will about this individual. Say what you will about Tim McBride, Sarah McBride, serving in the House of Representatives as a congressman from Delaware. It's all a bridge too far. It's all limits that are being pushed. They're being normalized, that the Democrats have forced themselves, they've pigeonholed themselves into a progressive, wacko platform that you didn't need the 2024 debrief from Kamala's loss by the DNC to spell out for you. You've become dangerous. You support dangerous things. As a mom, my number one job is to protect my children. As president, Donald Trump's number one job is to protect the people of this country. Democrats have proven again and again that they are unhealthy for America. Period. When we come back, we're going to get into the next half hour. Does LA really want a repeat of communist sympathizer Karen Bass? The sit down from CNN that'll open up your eyes big next. I thought we were into another hour. My apologies. How do you get behind full-term abortion? How do you get behind bringing illegals into your country and allowing them to murder your people? How do you get behind hospitals chopping off body parts or stitching on new ones on children. How do you get behind legalizing delinquency and drug addiction? How do you do that? I don't know. I don't know. But they need to cheat in a big way, guys. I'm going to run to the bathroom. Do you want me to go for you, Brock?
Yes, please.
Do you have to go first?
No.
Thank goodness. Wow. We'll think about who we want to chat about when I come back.
Okay. People who sit here and say about the Iran and Trump doesn't care about the American people, and we don't get oil, and you'll see who doesn't really care about the people that they represent. We don't get oil from Iran. What, 1%? The fact, see, I look at it differently. I look at it and saying, oh, well, he goes to Iran, closes the strait, they open the strait, they close the strait, they open the strait. He's more than anything, he's breaking OPEC up. You want to know why your gas prices are what they are? It's not because it's traded. One, they're traded on futures, but two, OPEC has held the world hostage. They've even held people involved in OPEC, Saudi Arabia, UAE, hostage with how much they could sell and get rid of and flood the market. Let them flood the market. You want gas prices to go down? There you go. Build more refineries. Build refineries that can refine the oil in America. Put people to work. I hate this pretending, because that's what it is, that Trump isn't looking out for the American people. Just because you don't see it on a day-to-day basis, because most people care about affordability, gas prices. There's a lot of things in this world that are just necessary evils, and gas prices is just one of them. Gas is one of them.
What are you saying?
People about Iran and, Trump doesn't care about Americans. Look at gas prices. And I said, I think he does, because he's destroying OPEC, who's held the world hostage for years, held people involved in OPEC hostage for years. So, I don't know, breaking, which did not get a lot of news, him breaking OPEC.
Big deal.
Big deal.
Very big deal. And who knows? Who knows what these new developments with the UFO files and the things that they've been working on, and maybe there are technologies that they know about that they're holding from us. I don't know. GetNativePath.com/Wendy. Collagen peptides, probably the cheapest, easiest thing you can do for your health today is taking a scoop, 10 grams of collagen peptides, putting it in whatever you're drinking, whether it's coffee, water, juice, doesn't matter because you can't taste it, shaking it up and doing this for, let's say, 2 to 3 months. Well, first of all, it's 45% off, up to 45% off. If you're a Wendy Bell Radio pay your attention to her, which you are. This is what it looks like. Native Path. GetNativePath.com/Wendy. It's literally pennies a day. This is going to last you, one of these is going to last you about 2 months. I think this is, 30 something bucks, whatever I said it was. Super cheap. So literally pennies a day. This is good for your hair, your skin, your nails, your gut, your cartilage. It's good for wrinkles. It's good for focus. Collagen peptides. This is the secret sauce. I'm very glad that I started doing this. Support for joints, bones, skin, hair, nails, and digestion. There's just no negative. And by the way, when you cross over 50, it's like your body's got 50% of what it had before. And this is just compensating on a daily basis. You can't regenerate what you've lost, but you can certainly add to it. That's what you do every day by taking a scoop of this. I have it in here with my MCT Wellness. I'm telling you, I'm trying to change the dimensions of my body. I'll see if it works. I'll let you know. I like it so far. Native Path is a phenomenal company. GetNativePath.com/Wendy. Make sure you do that. Put in my name and you'll get that huge discount. Huge discount. Love, love, love them.
And when it comes to gas prices too, blame your individual states.
Yeah, you've got serious
60,
issues.
59 cents in PA. What's it in Washington? What's it in California? What's
Just
it
for
in
the tax.
Massachusetts?
And what's the tax for? And then you've got certain blends. Well, this year in California, this time of year, you've got to have
it's like the strand of COVID.
It's literally how can we grift off of this? The gas prices. Trump is real. He knows all of this stuff, but I think it's gonna change here. It's gonna have to. We'll see what happens. I agree. It's uncomfortable. It sucks, but
yeah, I don't like.
that you and I lived through a very dark chapter of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I look at people who have profiles and it still has their pronouns on it. And I was like, you've got to change that. You've got to change that because all of your push under the guise of leveling the playing field, of giving people opportunities who've not had those opportunities in the past, you allege. No, maybe it's not that they haven't had the opportunity. Maybe it's that one wasn't qualified enough to do that job. That sounds awfully racist and discriminatory. No, we believe in the meritocracy. We believe you should work hard and achieve, and you should be rewarded for your efforts. Not that this system should change to accommodate you, because when you do that, you get people like Karen Bass. When you do that, you get people like Karine Jean-Pierre, who literally was a moron. But because she was black, a chick, and gay, right? The child of immigrants. Like, how many more things? The only thing she didn't have, she wasn't in a wheelchair. That's it. She checked every other box. So she was horrible. She was a liar. She was horrible. Karen Bass, liar, horrible. Black woman. Well, what does that get you in LA? Does it make you feel better? Do you have great leadership? Are the results worth it? How do you feel now that a white dude's probably going to have to come in and clean up the mess? That's not the story LA wants to hear. That's the story LA needs to hear. And comedian Adam Carolla, who had spent some time with Spencer Pratt, also running for mayor, as you well know, he's come out as a strong truth teller about the failures of voting based on melanin and plumbing. Here's Adam Carolla.
Here's what I want to say to all the people on the left. Good news. You got your first black female mayor of Los Angeles. She f***ed it 10 ways to Sunday, and now we need a white dude to fix the mess she made. But you got your first female black mayor. You can all congratulate yourselves, pat yourselves on the back. I know you love all this bullshit. You did it. You did it. She was horrible. You did it. She ruined the city, but you did it. So congratulate yourselves, and now elect someone who's competent so we can fix this shit that woman who broke the glass ceiling and you guys were so proud of voting in, that she fucked the city up so badly that we now need to change directions. But you did it. Feel good about yourself. You got the first. Check the box. You don't need 2 terms.
Think about Ketanji Brown Jackson. Now, Ketanji Brown Jackson is not a dope. Clearly, she is a well-educated, well-spoken jurist. She was promised that spot, or she was given that spot on the Supreme Court, not because of her skills, not because she is a remarkable communicator, that she's got this amazing connection to the Constitution, not that she's a patriot. She's a black chick who could push the agenda of the left. That's what it is. Sonia Sotomayor and Elena Kagan. Let's get as many diverse people as we can. None of them is doing anything to move a beneficial needle for the United States of America. And you cannot disagree with that. Karen Bass thinks that she's going to get a second term because this is the way it always goes. That once you get in, you don't get out because the machine protects you. You allow the grifting to happen. You look the other way, right? When there's a threat of a fire or high wind advisory, you bail and go to Ghana, or you bounce back to Cuba where you've been 18 times since the 1970s, right? And Karen Bass thinks that she still has this in the bag. Well, this is interesting. Alex Michelson, he's with CNN. He has an interview that has Angelinos howling, if you will, because he sits down with Karen Bass and he's like, look, 2023, you ran on a platform. Your platform was, we got a lot of homeless people out here. We got to clean up the homelessness problem. And I'm going to fix homelessness. And people were like, yeah, because you know what? Everybody, no matter how you vote, they want to walk down the street and not worry about some zombie walking around the bend and, trying to stab them for their change. You don't want to see people defecating on the street across from your child's elementary school. You want what everybody else wants. You want clean streets. You guys see what Trump did in D.C.? There's some park there. I forget which one it is. And there was a woman who put out a video. She's like, I've lived here for 2 years, Meridian Park. She's like, I've lived here for 2 years. There have been junkies all over the place. There's been needles on the ground, garbage everywhere, homeless here and there. The fountain, this beautiful fountain that makes you look like you're walking through Paris, has never had water in it since I've lived here for 2 years, a woman said. Then she takes her phone and she pans off herself. She says, look at this. And people are out again. And people are out walking. They're out throwing a football. Look, there's water in the fountain. There's no more junkies. There's no more tent cities. This is amazing. This is Washington, D.C. This is how America should be. It's like Cuba wants to get back. They want to go back to the way they were. It was a metropolis. It was classy. It was stately. It was safe in the 50s. And then what happened? So Alex Michelson from CNN sits down with Karen Bass. And he's like, look, let's have a chat about your promises made, but not promises kept. Let's listen in the brutal takedown of Karen Bass's failure on homelessness. And she says her response, I didn't realize it was such a big problem. And so I just have to try harder this time. Just let me try again. It'll be great this time. Listen.
When you talked to Jake Tapper in 2023, you said that your goal was to end street homelessness in LA by 2026. It's now 2026.
And we haven't ended it.
We have not ended it, and we're not close to ending it. How are you so off?
Well, basically, when I said that, it was at the beginning of my term. I am very committed to achieving that goal. I didn't anticipate some of the bureaucratic barriers that I would experience, but I am prepared to take those on now. And let me just give you an example. Los Angeles made a decision probably 20, 25 years ago to not address street homelessness, to focus solely on building. And granted, I have fast-tracked 42,000 units of affordable housing, but it still takes a couple of years. So basically, the policy of LA City and LA County was we could accept street homelessness as long as we were building. We didn't anticipate the problem metastasizing. In my 3.5 years, for the first time, 2 years in a row, street homelessness has decreased in our city. There hadn't been a decrease before.
Speaking of a decrease, Karen, since you said you didn't realize it was so bureaucratic, you had no idea that if you just built places that you couldn't move people to them, it was like this weird thing that you thought was going to help, right? So how much has homelessness gone down in LA, Karen?
But you promised that it would go away 100%, and it's only gone down about 17.6%.
Right.
So why should people trust you that you're going to be able to get to the 100%?
Because let me just tell you, for the first time, we've had a decrease at all. There was not a decrease before at all because there was no commitment to get rid of street encampments. And we had encampments all over the city. So I would ask for people's trust in the sense that we have absolutely made progress. We know what we need to do now to end street homelessness. We need to end the failed policies of the past, which is all we're going to do is focus on building, and we are going to ignore street homelessness. That is what the city and the county has done for years, ignored street homelessness.
We suck, but a little bit less than you might have thought. I mean, we still do, but just maybe not as much. Then there's President Trump, who's like, this is unacceptable. And he says it's unacceptable for everybody, for the addicts, for the mentally ill, for the homeless, for the people in the residences where these people live. Brock, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, she said it's been about 25 years.
Ah.
Yeah, well, LA hasn't had a Republican mayor since 2001.
Well, there you go. Democrats touch, Democrats ruin. So then Politico sits down with Karen Bass, and they say the quiet part out loud. Listen, as they don't even dance around the idea of illegals voting. So to combat Trump, Karen is all in on exploring her options. Listen.
Councilmember Hugo Soto Martinez, who has endorsed you, he wants to explore ways to let non-citizens vote in city elections. I know that there are some cities that already do this, but politics is all about timing. With Donald Trump in the White House, is this the right time for Los Angeles to go down this path?
Well, I think we need to explore it. Now, I've not seen exactly what he's calling for. I have a little familiarity of what happens in other cities. And for example, some cities will allow people to vote in like city council and school board elections because they pay local taxes, but they are not necessarily undocumented. They might be here completely legally, but have not finished the citizenship process. So we'll wait and see.
The answer is no. The answer is no. No, we follow federal law. No, we don't twist the rules. We don't break the rules. We're not that desperate. We don't lie or cheat or break the law. And she's like, well, about illegals voting, I know they already do in some places. Yeah, we're exploring that. That's disqualifying. 100% disqualifying. That gives rise to the white guy, Spencer Pratt. The white guy, the reality TV star, like President Trump was. And they laugh him off as though he is a nothing. Remember how they did that with President Trump? So Trump was asked about Spencer Pratt. And he's getting on Marine One or getting off of it, maybe going to the Coast Guard ceremony, the graduation yesterday. And he's asked about Spencer Pratt. And this president is not that plugged in allegedly on him. Oh, I bet you he is. Listen.
Spencer Pratt, do you see yourself in him at all? A former reality TV star?
No, I'd like to see him do well. He's a character. I don't know him. I assume he probably supports me. Does he support me?
I think so.
I think so, yeah. I heard he does. I heard he's a big MAGA person. He's doing well. I don't know. If you have a rigged vote out there, that's the problem. The votes are rigged. You have a really rigged vote in California. You have all the mail-in ballots, everything else. Very hard to win because the elections are very dishonest. If we had Jesus Christ come down and count the votes, I would have won California because I do great with Hispanics. But it's a rigged vote. They send out 38 million votes. Nobody knows where they're going.
100%. It's a rigged vote. If you allow California, if you allow your representatives to cheat and steal, then you will die, basically, in a dead city. That's what's happening. So on the heels of this, Spencer Pratt drops a new ad. Now, he doesn't, but we know the guy who did, and it's pretty great. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. So Trump's like, yeah, I'm not really paying attention to him. Oh, yeah, you are.
Well, they act like that's all Trump's known for is reality TV.
Well, what's funny, too, is he's gonna see what Spencer does. And Spencer had a really great sit down I was looking at right before we went on the air, so I didn't have time to grab it. But he's talking about what his plan is to do with all of the people on Skid Row. You got about 4,000 people. 4,000 people who live their lives on Skid Row. They're drug-addled, right? The disease is now going through these encampments. So Spencer Pratt has asked, what do you do? It's not good enough to build a house for somebody or put them in an apartment, right? If you don't cleanse the soul, if you don't heal the spirit, you don't crack the code and break the addiction. And then you're just throwing people away. And he had a very interesting response to it. And he's going to, when it comes to the moment that he needs it, it'll be interesting because I bet you Trump will throw his support behind that. I don't know why you wouldn't throw your support behind Spencer Pratt.
I don't either. Can I say too? Mm-hmm. If you're on Rumble and you see the shorts, share those too to your. If you're on TikTok or Instagram and the Wendy Bell, first off, follow. But if it comes up, share it.
We so appreciate. That's how we're getting out the word. And some of you, I know Demanda does it every day, and a handful of you every single day put out the show. You'll retweet or whatever the show. And we so appreciate it. You do. You put it out on X and your people watch and you're growing this. And so we're deeply grateful. Thank you so much. Ireland Contracting, I want to say to you, by the time you realize you need a new roof, it's too late, right? So when you start seeing the issues with that drip of water, by the time it's gotten to you and has dripped into your floor or what have you, it's saturated what's going on up above you. And it's traversed a wild path to get where you are. And the danger and the damage of water is it's just crippling. And it's so pricey. So do not put it off. Get somebody from Ireland Contracting out to your house by calling 1-800-NEW-ROOF. They'll come out to your house. They'll put up a ladder. You probably don't even have to be there. Tell them, get in touch with them, 1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com. They'll get to your house. They'll get up on the roof. They'll take pictures. They'll put together a detailed list of what they think you need to do. And they'll be honest with you. If they think you still have 2 or 3 more years on your roof, they'll be like, you still have 2 or 3 more years on your roof. This is our written estimate. It's good for a year. I can't tell you what it's going to be after that. It might get higher because more damage. But this is what you're in for. I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. I appreciated that a lot. And that's what they did for me. IrelandContracting.com, 1-800-NEW-ROOF. And they're lovely. And don't forget about Dan. Don't forget about their son, Dan. He's darling, and he is their electrician, and he comes in your house. He'll do whatever you need. He's been to my house 4 or 5 times, and he's fantastic. 1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com. I find it interesting when you look at the numbers, who's giving money to these campaigns. The failure of these Democrat-run cities is forcing people to pay attention to the politics, forcing them to get involved in primaries. More people have been turning out for primaries than ever. Why? Well,
because they're tired.
We're open to anything, even illegals voting. I'm sorry? What'd you say? I think what he's doing in LA is so curious on many levels, and it's really revolutionary. And Donald Trump paved the way for this, yes, in 2015, 2016. A total outsider, right? Somebody who's not involved in the political games. Someone who can't be bought or bribed. Someone who has a passion that goes beyond money. And Spencer Pratt is that same kind of individual. He was forced to see what living in a poorly run city was like as he lost everything and his house burned down. And 6,000 of his neighbors did too. And a dozen people died. He tapped into something. It was bigger than Spencer Pratt. It became his legacy. I'm going to fight this machine. I'm going to do whatever it takes. Because if I don't, who will? And then he started using artificial intelligence, and he has been masterful. But it's not just him. I got to give a shout out to the handle Gene Parmesan on X. It's another guy's real name, obviously, but he's been making a lot of these ads, including this one I want to play for you. Now, if you're listening and not watching, this thing had 1.5 million views this morning, and it dropped yesterday. It's got 3 dads sitting around drinking beer, barbecuing, and they say they're not MAGA or anything, but they're noticing that their city, Los Angeles, is falling apart. Here is the latest Spencer Pratt ad.
This mayor race is really heating up. Who you guys voting for? Haven't decided? Same, haven't really been following it. Same. Same? Same. I'm not MAGA or anything. But the city's kind of gone to shit though, right? Oh yeah. Jessica stepped on a needle at the playground the other day. I'm not MAGA or anything though. I'm not MAGA or anything, but have you been downtown lately? Looks like an episode of The Walking Dead. Not that I'm MAGA or anything though. Spencer Pratt seems like he has some good ideas. Not that I'm MAGA or anything. He does seem really angry all the time though. Well, they did burn his house down. Also, apparently he's staying at the Bel Air Hotel, not the trailer on his property. Well, yeah. They burned his house down. Okay, we're all adults here. How about on 3, we just say who we're voting for? 1, 2, 3. Spencer Pratt. Yeah. Spencer Pratt. Spencer Pratt. Can you imagine if our wives knew?
We're all voting for Spencer Pratt, right? Of course. Obviously. I wish I could vote like yesterday.
And it says, you are not alone. Vote Spencer Pratt. It is genius. 1.5 million views this morning. Shout out to Gene Parmesan, the gentleman behind some of this. It's amazing. You're watching a relative unknown use the technology of tomorrow and today to absolutely destroy the old ideas of yesteryear. And he's killing it. You got to know that Spencer Pratt is leading Karen Bass in donations because he's representing the party of angry Angelinos. Listen to Fox LA with the numbers and Spencer Pratt's surge in support among business owners.
Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass has a hold with local chambers of commerce and labor groups, but Spencer Pratt has seen some big-name donations come his way lately, and he's even outraised Bass so far this year. From January 1st to April 18th, Bass has so far taken in just under $500,000 from contributors, but that's behind Pratt's nearly $540,000 in donations that he's taken in. And Pratt's popularity is climbing in the polls with the ultra-rich. Look at some of these recent donors. Jeffrey Sprecher, the CEO of the Intercontinental Exchange, Jeannie Buss, the governor of the Lakers, Sean Rad, the founder of Tinder, the dating app, Jamie Siminoff, the founder of Ring, the security system, Lucien Grange, the CEO of Universal Music, and his son Elliot Grange, the CEO of Atlantic Records. Pratt has the support of realtor and reality star Josh Altman, who says he and his clients all want the same thing, to feel safe and make permitting easier.
It's not these major corporations that make everything move in this town. It's just not. It's the mom and pop shop. And those are the people that are getting hurt the most. And I think our biggest export now, unfortunately, is frustrated business owners.
Bass may be lacking the big name donors, but she more than makes up for it with support from major business and labor groups, including the Service Employees Union, the LA Chamber of Commerce, and the Motion Picture Association.
I wonder how many of those people give kickbacks, of course, to Karen Bass. I love that Spencer Pratt's campaign is like, I'm not MAGA or anything, but I identify all of these things that are wrong. I'm not MAGA or anything. And then he hones in on the digs they've tried to strike him down with. Well, he's not living in that trailer. They did burn down his house. They say he's living in that fancy hotel because his house burned down. That's all that needs to be said. Talking point on the left, dismantled. When we come back, hour number 3 of the Wendy Bell radio program. Have you ever wondered how low your taxes would be if the grift just stopped? If people stopped stealing from us? Oh my goodness. Let's go there next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. He's not afraid of their attacks. He's like, okay, let's go. You want to talk about where I'm living? Well, I don't have a house because it got burned down. Where do you want me to stay? The Hotel 6, Motel 6? Is that better for you? Disinfectwithsniper.com. Talk about being able to help there. Sniper is a phenomenal product. I told you yesterday that Joe is bringing in our recycling containers and they just needed to be baked in the sun and deodorized and disinfected. And so without even thinking, without even asking, he went downstairs to get my big gallon jug of Sniper. And he went to town and he sloshed it around, hosed it out, let it sit in the sun and just cook. Odor gone, junk gone. Problem solved next. That's what Sniper is. I used it this morning all over the powder room. I used it all over the kitchen counter. I used it 2 days ago to clean my car on the inside. Hospital grade disinfectant, kills everything in the world, is safe for pets, safe for your children or your grandchildren, and yet it removes everything that can make you sick in your house. And it's just a phenomenal product. I use it, like I said, every single day, and I use it multiple times a day. Disinfectwithsniper.com. This is what it looks like. That's as basic as it gets. And our friend who sells this wanted to compete. He was tired of getting undercut by Amazon, so he undercut Amazon. And his price is less than Amazon with free shipping. How's that responsive? It's very responsive. This is amazing stuff. And everything on the website has been phenomenal. I've been delighted by their stuff. So thank you for supporting them. Thank you for supporting us. And, it's hard. Brock and I were talking about it this morning that, too much politics is overloady. And I'm trying not to overload you with too much stuff because I don't want to dissuade you from engaging and being aware. Because this is how it changes. This is when LA wakes up and they see that Spencer Pratt cracked the door the way President Trump and the DOJ indicting Raul Castro has cracked that door of solitary confinement to the Cubans. That they see that maybe there's a way to open it and run through it and fix things. It's easy to get complacent and to be like, things are never going to change. They've tried. I mean, that's how I feel about California. And I appreciate the people who left California because they're like, I'm not going to be able to realize the change fast enough for my family to survive it here. My business isn't going to survive it. My family's not going to survive it financially. We've got to flee for our sanity, safety, and survival. Right? It's tough. And I understand when Spencer's like, look, if Karen Bass allegedly wins, I'm not staying here. I'm not going to try to fight something. I'm not going to be able to fix it. The system is too broken. And so therefore, California will need to devolve into total pandemonium. They're going to have people leave, tax-based bail. Right? And it sucks because it's where I grew up. I don't want to see that at all. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see this mop that I've got going on. Thank God Brock's getting a haircut today, though. My goodness.
I agree.
I'm not, as you well know.
You're getting artificial.
I'm becoming chemically dependent today. Yes, this is a fact. Let's see what you guys are saying. I so enjoy that you are here.
They're not saying much on the Rumble button.
I can't do it. Can't beg. It's bad, though. 2.03. If you are watching this after hours, you can still hit that Rumble button and affect us. And so I encourage you to please do so. That would be fantastic. 4,500, we're excited you're here. Thank you, thank you. And all you have to do is hit that thumbs up button underneath the video box. And that's how you register your vote. We don't cheat. We don't steal your vote and give it to somebody else. It's yours every single day, and we appreciate it that you use it because that's how Rumble gives us business, which I appreciate.
I'm half tempted to let her buzz my head today.
Why?
I was sweating. It was chilly last night, and I was still sweating.
Oh, yeah, sure. Imagine how mine is. Not a victim. I understand. Hair is hot.
Someone asked me what stupid thing I was going to do to try to get 100,000 followers. Why do I have to do stupid things for people to follow? I've had a mohawk in the past for follows, tattoo for follows. You had two bottoms, by the way. Did you notice that?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, last thing before 2 p.m.
Oh, you know what? Let's do that next then. Yeah, I like that better than that Fitzpatrick. We'll see. Thank you. I did not. I was discombobulated this morning.
I know. You yelled at me.
I didn't mean to. I didn't yell at you. Did I really yell at you?
You kind of did.
I really didn't.
You kind of did.
I did not mean
you
to
were fresh.
say.
I didn't take it that way.
I did not mean to say you. I meant to say I need to find this that I've seen. So
that
I'm
you
sorry.
sent to me.
Yeah, but you sent to me. But that doesn't. Whatever. Whatever, victim.
I'm just saying I didn't send you that. I had no idea what you were talking about. That's all I'm saying.
Five, four, three, two, one. Wendy Bell, America's anchor mom, fighting for America 1 hour at a time. Welcome to the family.
We're going to win so much. We're going to win at every level. We're going to win economically. We're going to win with the economy. We're going to win with military. We're going to win with healthcare and for our veterans. We're going to win with every single facet. We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
3 hours of gold, truth, and excellence. You've just signed up for the WBR Army. Strap in. This is the Wendy Bell radio program.
You know, just listening to that open to this third hour of the Wendy Bell radio program, and welcome back, all of you. President Trump talking about winning. We're going to win so much. You're going to get tired of winning. And you're going to say, please, please, it's too much. We can't take it anymore. Make it stop. And he says, no, we're going to win more. And then what do you have on the DNC side of things? Losing, losing, losing. I'm looking at some of the headlines from the post-mortem of the 2024 election, which has only taken a year and a half. Like, how is that even possible? I mean, do you guys really need 200 pages in a year and a half to figure out what the hell happened with the DNC? They ran for 4 years. a horrible White House. Their policies were dreadful for the American people. They wound back relations between various political parties in this country generations, right? They trotted out a horrendous candidate in Kamala Harris who they didn't allow to be primaried, right? They tried to tell you that Joe Biden was the best of the best. He was the top of the game. The guy was amazing. As Kamala then blew through $1 billion and got shellacked because nobody was buying what they were selling. And they were so insulated in their own little bubble that they didn't listen to the American people. Trump listens to you. You guys wanted the Epstein stuff. He said, declassify it, get it out there. You've got deep state hacks who will not let the whole detail go through. They won't allow it to be released. The same thing with the UFO files. Donald Trump hears you about food prices, about the cost of gasoline. He's rolling back regulations on fuel and whatnot, economy with cars, so that you don't have to go through this and that and pay through the nose to get your tank filled. He's hearing you. He's talking to the food manufacturers. He's like, can we bring down some costs for the American people? We had something we had to do in Iran. It was the most important thing for the future of the planet and preventing them from getting a nuclear weapon. And because of that, things have gotten a little out of control price-wise. We need to bring it down because the American people are suffering. Joe Biden said to you it was going to be a winter of darkness and death. And then he stood there like Hitler on a podium with red, lit drapes, holding his fist like Fuhrer, right? And telling you that you better pay attention and do what he said. There's a huge difference. I mean, and literally you have to be in a coma and stumble out of it right now to not realize it. And the DNC is curious. Did you know that in their postmortem, they didn't talk at all about Kamala's failures. They didn't talk at all about the lack of a primary process. They didn't do anything, talk at all about Joe Biden's performance at that debate when everybody was like, oh my gosh, what is that? No comment in that postmortem. Look, if you have a party that's unwilling to look in the mirror and be like, Shazam, I think we've got it all wrong. How do you expect to continue forward? Cheat, steal, do things that are dangerous, try to take out your opponents, right? So then we get to the point of fraud, about how much money we lose every year. I just have to play this for you because it's beyond disgusting. You'll have to sit down. I'll set it up. Joni Ernst, who's not some, rock star, but she said something pretty interesting to Maria Bartiromo yesterday. And this is it. The inside jobs enabling fraud. So Joni Ernst, senator from Iowa, sits down with some whistleblowers to tell her basically how the system bullied them when they tried to flag fraud. It's what happened to Elon Musk with Doge. Bully, force you out, shut it down. The only way that the Democrat Party survives, and some of the rhinos apparently, is if the system continues. So Ernst welcomed two whistleblowers who faced retaliation for exposing fraud, along with an investigative reporter who had the screws ground on him for reporting on it. Why ever would that be? Do you want to know how much money we're being stolen from us every single day? Here's the senator from Iowa, Joni Ernst, with Maria Bartiromo. Oh my gosh.
Well, what we have discovered as I've worked through a number of these fraud cases is that we lose approximately $1.4 billion every single day to fraud. That's taxpayer money. It's real money, Maria. And so through these small business programs, we're now exposing people working within the system, actually working for our federal government agencies that are perpetuating the fraud. We've got, examples of a fraudfluencer who was using social media to recruit participants in a small business scheme, and she gained the system by about $3.5 million.
So a year between 233 billion and 521 billion lost to fraud. Look, COVID opened the doors to the guardrails coming down, to the requirements, prove who you are. It became a free-for-all. And it became also the representation of my loathing, my seething hatred for Mitch McConnell. who stood smiling like a little kid on Christmas morning next to a dolly that had all 2,500 pages of the CARES Act printed out on it with a bow around it, knowing full well that it was going to represent, what, $2.2 trillion of fleecing of the American taxpayer. $54 billion a year gets stolen through Medicare. 31 gets stolen every year from Medicaid. I mean, it's ridiculous. SNAP, $10.5 billion a year. All other programs, $41 billion. Added up, between $300 and $500 billion is stolen from us. If that just stopped, can you imagine how much more money you would have in your pocket? Can you imagine all of the people whose livelihoods are stealing from you and from me? Can you imagine how the system would change? And so you say to yourself, which state is the most corrupt? Which state has the most fraud? It's got to be Minnesota. I mean, that was ridiculous. You'd be wrong. Christopher Rufo, who blows the lid on all of these things, says California fraud is stealing taxpayer money on a scale that makes Minnesota look like child's play. Why do you think all of this stuff is so serious about protecting the Democrat rule in California? If you're a Republican, you're squeezed out of the system there because it's the epicenter of the grift. The fraud scandal that resulted in billions being stolen from American taxpayers in Minnesota is truly the tip of the iceberg when it comes to fraud on a national scale. Conservative author and activist Chris Rufo said in a podcast yesterday. I heard it. While revelations about Minnesota's scandal ended the political career of Tim Walz, another Democratic governor making national headlines, is far worse. The Manhattan Institute's Christopher Rufo said. Of course, it's Gavin Newsom. The scale of it in the state of California is just another level entirely, he said. He said this in an interview with the New York Post. Speaking to Podforce One, podcast hosted by New York Post columnist Miranda Devine. He says Minnesota's fraud has been largely centered in the state's large Somali community. But in Gavin Newsom's California, the potential for theft has attracted a global element. Individuals from all walks of life, all nationalities, even all parts of the country have recognized that the California government is essentially open to business for fraud schemes. And this is interesting, he says, but there's also this ethno-political element. And you see certain populations, for example, Armenians in Southern California, they're perpetuating fraud at scale. One police detective, he said, I talked to, said Romanians, Armenians, Nigerians, these are certain kind of subpopulations or national populations that have been caught over and over again ripping off the state government. He says the established track record of uncovering misuse of public funds Rufo has. In 2023, his revelations about a Texas children's hospital in Houston allegedly falsifying Medicaid records to fund sex change surgeries for children sparked an investigation that caused that to stop last year. He also dug into the devastating wildfires in the Palisades, and he publicized that the Los Angeles Fire Department internal documents showed how the department's commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion pushed disaster recovery to the bottom of the department's priorities. But now he's talking about the fraud on scale. And people know that if you commit crimes, so it goes, if you have motive and opportunity, you'll commit crimes in California. But the one thing about it is you're most likely not to get caught. If you do get caught, you're most likely not to face charges. And if you do face charges and you do get convicted, you're most likely not to serve much, if any time at all. And that is the system. That is what Spencer Pratt is going to carve out in California, which is why knives will come out to make sure he does not win. The fake ballots, the fake voters, all of the payoffs, all of that. And Donald Trump warned him of that too. But you and I are paying for it. $500 billion a year. Imagine how much more money you would have. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, we got to talk about what's going on with the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare. Did you guys know 5 million people have already left it? The system is going to collapse in all likelihood, what that means to you and why you should never trust the government to fix anything. Next. And this is, again, where that health revolution thing comes up big time. Big time. 800-868-6186. I got that right, I believe. The Simkovich Concussion Institute. Let me tell you, I think Dr. Simkovich has gotten a wonderful amount of feedback from this audience. And I think a lot of people are willing to, sort of like what President Trump has done with the LSD and other hallucinogenics, things of that nature. Why not see if those sorts of things can help people with various problems? Post-traumatic stress disorder certainly is among them for folks coming back from battle and what have you. And President Trump's philosophy has been, let people try. Let's try to see what we can do. Not, oh, it's never worked before. Let's try stuff. Let's give people access to things that can heal themselves. This is what I like about Dr. Simkovich. Like, there's no textbook on the brain. Nobody's brain gets injured the exact same way. Nobody's injury down at the cellular level is the same. Dr. Simkovich knows that. And so he's willing to try anything with people who have problems that have to do with the brain, whether it's essential tremor, whether it's serious problems with headaches, whether it is a PTSD, whether it is something of that nature. This is the place that you can call and you can see if there's hope. Why wouldn't you want to know? 412-366-3700. 412-366-3700. SimkovichConcussionInstitute.com. He's the real deal. He's the real deal. One of these days, we're going to have to drop the deets on who fixed my foot and is helping you with your back too, Brock.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel like you need him today after your game of baseball?
I don't.
Really?
I would say today I am 95% pain-free.
It's amazing when
I think just moving.
I think it's amazing too when you work with people who are willing to try different kinds of technologies, right? Different kinds of things. A lot of this alien stuff that we've been talking about, some things out there, people talking about our senses don't allow us to perceive what might be right in front of us every single day. The same way Brock brought up the idea of dogs with their smell or bumblebees with their vision.
Well,
things done on a different scale.
Why is it a dog can sense low blood sugar or seizures?
They can
or
smell
cancer?
Breast cancer. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, these are things that we can't see past our five senses.
Yeah. We're limited in that capacity. I wonder if that has something to do with why the scut is in the alien world. We're like the least developed.
Probably
of the
like
galaxies, right? I don't know.
How's you brought up, how's Murphy know when there's going to be a storm? I mean, I knew my grandma could tell because her
arthritis,
but
yeah, right.
You know, the change in pressure.
I just think that anybody who's compartmentalized and isn't willing to hear possibilities,
I don't get it.
You're really gypping yourself, you know? I think. I want to know it all. Tell me it all. Even the ugly stuff. How else do you fix it? If you're not honest about it, how do you not repeat it? Right? This is scary. This is from Zero Hedge, but I think it's going to resonate with you guys. Well, welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. You know, I make the analogy commonly of my local post office. The people who work at the post office, Miss May, one of my favorite people. She's pleasant. She's good at her job. She's a government worker, but she's grateful for the job, the pension, all of it. She shows up when she has to. She is wonderful to deal with. The facility itself is a complete crap show. There's asbestos coming out of the ceiling. She's behind bulletproof glass. It's always dirty. It's a junk heap, right? And yet our bills for stamps keep going higher and higher. It gets more expensive to use the postal service. And yet you wonder, what am I getting for this? It's not like you're getting more for the more that you're paying. It's just, it's such a poorly run grift, right? That it's failed, period. It's just failed. This is what the government does when it touches stuff. So it was no shocker when Obamacare came out as being the debacle that it was, lying. You know, if you keep your doctor, you can keep your dog. You like your insurance, you can get. All of that was garbage. Everybody got squeezed by it. I don't know a single person who's like, this is just so much better. Thank God for that Barack Obama. Nobody. ZeroHedge.com had a story today, caught my eye. Here's the title: Obamacare enrollment expected to drop by nearly 5 million as costs surge. This system is about to collapse. Enrollment in the Affordable Care Act marketplace is projected to fall by nearly 5 million people this year as rising premiums and higher deductibles force many Americans to reconsider whether they can still afford health insurance coverage at all. This is according to a new analysis from healthcare nonprofit KFF. The report estimates that Affordable Care Act enrollment could decline from 22.3 million participants in 2025 to roughly 17.5 million this year, representing a drop of more than 20%. It doesn't work. It does not work. At the same time, Americans who remain enrolled are paying substantially more out of pocket. This is according to the analysis. Average deductibles have climbed by more than $1,000, while monthly premium payments have increased by an average of $65. No matter how you slice it, people are paying more, said Cynthia Cox, who co-authored the report. Kaiser Family Foundation, KFF, found that middle-income Americans were among the most likely to drop their coverage. Why ever would that be? Well, the rich can afford whatever. They can afford their own concierge doctor if they want. The poor get subsidized insurance that we pay for. And then you're stuck as the monkey in the middle, holding the bill always. You're the one who gets squeezed by the fraud. You're the one who gets boned by the waste. You're the one who foots the bill for the abuse. I don't know. You done with it? I am. Apparently 20% of Americans who were in on this Affordable Care Act because they were forced to are done. And now people are rolling the dice. Meanwhile, if you're an illegal immigrant and you suffer some catastrophic problem, you show up at an ER, no worries. They'll move you out of the way and fall over them. The Affordable Care Marketplace, once promoted as a cornerstone of Democrat healthcare policy, has become increasingly important for gig workers, farmers, ranchers, hairstylists, and self-employed Americans who do not receive employer-sponsored coverage. And according to the report, many consumers were automatically renewed into plans from the previous year, only to discover that costs had risen dramatically after the subsidies expired. It's like dealing with a surgeon. You know, the surgeon's like, we really have to cut into you. This is the only fix. So here's what we're going to do. All right. We're going to put you under. We're going to cut it out. It's going to be perfectly lovely. And then after you're sewn up, they're out of your operating room, never to be seen again. They cut and they run. And this is a huge generalization. I'm not trying to say surgeons are bad people, but they're not there to tend to you after the fact. If there's a problem with your operation, it's like, well, sorry, good luck with that. This is the Affordable Care Act. You've got a cancer. We need to cut it out. It's called the Affordable Care Act. Everybody will love it. Just try it. Believe us. And then it doesn't work for you. And there's nobody to take your call. There's no way to shop around. There's no way to get out of it unless you just drop it all together and say, I'm done. I'm going to roll the dice. How many more examples do we need that voting for things that Democrats want or voting for Democrats to get their policies enacted, they don't work? Mass exodus from your blue states, period. Why does Tennessee look so appealing? How about Texas? How about what? South Carolina? How about Florida? It's not a shocker. But when it comes to you and your family's health, they didn't care about it. They didn't care about it any more than they cared about your objections to the jab. Do it. That's the way it goes. At least President Trump's like, let's have a bunch of experts come in and talk about it. Let's figure out if we could do some stuff. We make some drugs more affordable for folks. Make some people take care of themselves better. Amazing what that could do. Watch it. Obamacare is going to collapse. It's going to be a tough, tough sell, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, today's episode of the UFO Files. New developments. Apparently, it's not just 4 kinds of aliens. What? Next. I'm telling you, this is... I remember having to go to the, Med Express or what have you, and even taking the kids during COVID to the pediatrician's office, and they ask you if you're vaccinated. Screw you. Screw you. Who are you? Oh, that's right. You're getting subsidized, right, by pharma to push the vaccine on your patients. And you get monetary rewards, the greater percentage of your patient base that you vaccinate. Is that so gross? That's so gross. That's like infected ticks that Bill Gates wants to drop all over people. What is it, Canada that they did it, or is it here too?
I think it's everywhere.
There's some dirty, dirty people out there. Dirty, dark, evil monsters. I find them more vile and whatever than even whatever alien they can put in front of me. This is interesting, though, because I heard something, Brock. Did you see that I dug up the file that this fellow was talking about? GLP-1 gold. GLP-1 gold. This is a great option for people who are trepidatious of Big Pharma. I don't want to take the weight loss shots because you're like, I don't want to get Ozempic face. I don't want to be like, some people have it. Other people are like, I don't want it, but I've got big weight to lose. 40, 50, 70 pounds or more, and it's not working. How do I get off this plateau? How do I move it? Well, this is great from Juvenon, bloodflow7.com/Wendy. It's their GLP-1 gold. Look, I swear by this company. Their prices are phenomenal. Their products freaking work. I can only tell you the blood flow that I take. I'm like, blah, blah, blah. I'm in it to win it. This, the GLP-1, is a hormone that naturally occurs in us. But over time, sort of like your collagen, it kind of poops out, right? And for some people, that's a real struggle because the hormone controls basically that messaging to your gut, to your brain that says you're full. You don't need to eat anymore. And so you tend to overeat or you eat bad things and then you get fat, right? The GLP-1 shot forces that signal. This kind of coaxes your natural hormones to be a little bit more active. It's like, hey, wake up. You got work to do. And then what happens? This is Juvenon's #1 weight loss product. And they've had phenomenal success with it. GLP-1 Gold dietary supplement. Take it every single day. Lose weight. Lose significant weight. That's not for your weekend dieter. It's for the person who really's got a lot to lose. Read about it. You'll read about the ingredients and you'll be like, well, wait a minute. I can pronounce all of those words. What's going on here? I know. It's crazy. But see, people who are self-employed, gig workers, all that stuff, info.healthrevolution.net. Please write it down. It's so applicable. I think my friends at Healthy Cell are all I've got left. What's going on in the world out there, Brock? You haven't sent me anything.
No, I haven't.
Has nothing been going on?
We had a lot of sound to play, so I haven't been really.
We did?
Well, yeah.
223. Holy mackerel. We need 270 people to hit 2,500. Right?
Trump DOJ has just announced massive $90 million fraud bust in Tim Walz, Minnesota, with criminal charges being slapped on 15 defendants. I don't understand how that Amy Bach gets 41 years and somehow Omar, we can't, there's no tie to her.
Well, it's Tina Peters getting thrown away. You need people to be controlled. And I find it interesting that they're getting jailhouse interviews. You would think they would button that up real quick, right? That she's been able to call out to the New York Post and what have you, or they've been able to call in. Like you would imagine that they would not, the Democrats would not want Amy Bach being able to talk because she didn't mastermind a $250 million fraud scheme by herself. This is interesting because Eric Burleson from Missouri, he's not an alien believer. He's on this panel with Anna Paulina Luna, Tim Burchett, and others, but he's not some UFO believer. He is not, in fact. And he's asked point blank, who is it? Jesse Waters asks him point blank, are you a believer now, Congressman? And he's like, no, I'm not. But I did read something in the last batch of files that they dropped. And he gives the title of the file name. And he's like, and I think everybody should go pay attention to that. And I was like, okay. So I searched for it and I found it. I'm going to read it to you. See, that's worth a thumbs up. That's going the extra mile. That's caring about your constituents. We've got some new offering in the UFO case, the alien files, whatever you want to call it, no matter where you are on the spectrum of believing it. If you think it's all bunk and it's entertainment, well, you should at least then be entertained. I don't know how I feel. I want to know everything. I want to know everything. I don't want to have secrets, especially not with how much we've paid. You know, every lawsuit that this government faces or goes to pursue, we pay for. Every mouth that receives food, you know, from welfare, we pay for that. Every service, every illegal alien who gets medical care, we pay for that. We pay for everything. We pay for people around the world. We paid for their pharmaceutical products for years until finally President Trump was like, can you tell me why we're paying 75% of the world's pharmaceutical prices? Because it just doesn't make any sense. Right? And the left went nutty. And we were all like, right on, Mr. President. This UFO stuff is interesting. And the president is listening. He's listening to people out when he's out and about. That's the difference between Joe Biden, who was in his hyperbaric chamber, or dragging his chair across the beach in Delaware. He was not there. He couldn't have been. He's not capable, was not able. This president's all over the place. And everywhere he goes, he's listening to people. He asks people. He touches the pulse of America. And they were like, you know what? We want to know what's going on with these aliens. You guys have tried to cover up a lot of stuff. Maybe not you, Mr. President, but you've got the ability to declassify, to release it. And so he said, and it shall be done. Signed the executive order, and still it didn't happen. Thus illuminating whatever the deep state blob, whatever the contractors who don't want us to know what they've been up to for the last 80 years, they're like, yeah, I don't think so. We're not going to give you that information. And so Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna, who's on this, transparency and government secrets, committee, She's gone through all of the necessary channels. And the next channel is to subpoena the information and force these companies, these contractors, these unelected bureaucrats who are doing a lot of stuff I'd like to know more about to provide the information. So in today's newly declassified FBI UFO files, there is an alleged extraterrestrial warning to humanity. This is a 1955 memo that claims outer space beings told investigators that Earth was the only planet that had not mastered space travel, calling humans the lowest form of universal existence. The message allegedly said humanity was being prepared for future alien landings, right? We already talked yesterday. Apparently Eisenhower was the one who was told that, whether it was an alien allegedly who was like, yo, you guys are dummies, right? This is what's going on. Eisenhower was like, I don't think humanity's ready for this yet. So apparently he shut the door on it. That's how the story goes. Well, former U.S. intelligence officer turned UFO whistleblower, David Grush, says Anna Paulina Luna, now that we've gotten this pushback, there's some agencies, some people, some contractors who really don't want this information to get out. She wants it. She wants 48 videos, 48 videos released to the people. President Trump wants them declassified and released as well. Gotten pushback. So she's going to go the congressional request subpoena route to force the disclosure of dozens of videos. And the videos that, yes, very specific people don't want you to see. Here is David Grush, former U.S. intelligence officer turned UFO whistleblower.
Chairwoman Luna right now is asking the Department of Defense to declassify about 46 videos.
Right.
Some of those videos I've seen, they're interesting, but don't certainly prove the case that I've presented. But I think Luna's very smart to exercise that process and, threaten subpoenaing those records and getting those in receipt of Congress. And I think as the administration starts releasing things, and I'm speaking on my personal behalf here today, but I would recommend, professionally to Congress to start using the power of subpoena. They already have the list of some of these hostile folks that ran those programs. Unfortunately, one of those individuals, Major General retired Neil McCaslin, is currently missing.
Did you hear what he just said? That was kind of big. I listened to it multiple times. He said hostile folks who ran some of those programs, people like Major General William Neil McCausland, and he's missing. So he's one of the bad guys. This guy is one of the hostile folks that this UFO whistleblower is now blowing the whistle on. The same guy who went missing, the same guy who led the Air Force Research Laboratory from 2011 to 2013, who managed like $4 billion in classified aerospace research and development. That guy who vanished in February from the Sandia foothills near Albuquerque, New Mexico. That guy who left behind all tracking devices at his residence before he disappeared, which is presented as kind of odd and suspicious. The same guy who's called the Ghost General due to his work on highly classified aerospace projects, right? With monster budgets, which used to suggest secrecy and maybe involvement in sensitive technology that could motivate foul play or forced disappearance. That guy, a hostile folk, that's what he said. I want you to hear Joe Rogan. So Joe Rogan is with a guest, and they're watching a clip of Jesse Waters interviewing film producer Dan Farrow. This is the guy behind The Age of Disclosure. It's all about UFOs, et cetera, et cetera. And he's talking about why President Trump is having so much difficulty getting the files from the gatekeepers who don't want to give up their power. Listen.
So the president gave his directive in middle of February, essentially instructing all federal agencies to declassify evidence of non-human intelligent life and UAP. What happened after that is the White House had to go get that evidence out of the hands of all these federal agencies, and they all for the most part push back. The people who have gatekept this information for 80 years, they don't want to share it. They've gotten a lot of power and control over the years, and it's just frankly not human nature for people to want to give up power and control. So there's a tug of war happening behind the scenes. there are a number of other reasons guiding their desire to keep this secret, including a general belief that the public can't handle the truth. I would argue the public can handle the truth. I think my film shows that. People aren't watching it and jumping out of windows. They're curious and they want to learn more. There's also a general feeling that, a concern that they can't tell the American public what they know and don't know without also telling our adversaries.
Interesting comments. I could understand that. Missouri Representative Eric Burleson was on with Jesse Waters too, and he said, look, listen, I need you to listen to this congressman, though, because he dropped something very interesting from the first batch of the UFO files that we then dug into. Listen.
Are you a believer? I'm not. I'm a skeptic, Jesse. I'm still a skeptic, but I'm doing my job. I'm on oversight. I'm following the investigation where it takes me, and I'm keeping it open. I'm just trying to stick to the facts. But what I will point out to you is that one of the documents that people are kind of overlooking in that first batch is towards the very end. It's a document that's named U.S. per Statement about UAP sightings. And in that report, you have officials, high-level intelligence officers, government officials who all reported seeing an incursion at one of our military bases in which they had an orange orb that was producing or disseminating other red types of orbs. This was cited not by people in a tinfoil hat and a van down by the river. This is our own government officials, and so that's a credible document that everybody should be looking at.
U.S. per statement about UAP sighting, he said. Yeah, I found it at war.gov/UFO, and I'm going to read it to you. This is an FBI 302 interview. Isn't that a mental health one? Conducted with a senior U.S. intelligence official regarding his firsthand account of a UAP encounter, alien encounter, at a U.S. military facility. They relayed to the FBI agents that he and other federal and state personnel conducted searches to where orbs had been previously seen. After searching the area with a helicopter, they found a super hot orb hovering over the ground. The orb is reported to have traveled for 20 miles at a speed too fast for the helicopter in pursuit. An additional swarm of lights was seen moving in all directions. A total of 4 or 5 additional orbs were seen shortly thereafter for a short time, flaring up and then down. This pattern of 4 or 5 orbs flaring up and then down continued over the next 30 minutes across the area. All right, you ready? The photos linked in the related media section are connected to a set of UAP encounters on a sensitive government testing installation in the western U.S. last year. This was in 1954. This wasn't somebody in 1963. This wasn't a farmer in 1981. This was last year. A sensitive military installation somewhere on the West Coast. Well, California has 44 of such military installations alone. I have no idea. But it says the photos linked in the related media section are connected to a set of those encounters on a sensitive government testing installation in the western U.S. in 2025. These orb-like UAP were observed at various ranges by multiple and in some cases simultaneous government personnel and sensors. So like he said, this isn't just some wackadoodle guy smoking weed in his VW bus down by the river who's like, oh, look what I saw. These are government officials, and they bring in like mental health professionals with the FBI to do these interrogations. So why are unidentified flying objects flying over military installations, possibly where we keep nuclear warheads? I don't know. Eric Burleson doesn't know, but he sure made point to let us know about it. You might want to check it out. Oh, by the way, they say there are now 9 different kinds of species, varieties of these aliens. I'm going to tell you what they are. See if you recognize any of them. Maybe one of your exes. Next on the Wendy Bell radio program. 2025, guys.
Maybe one of your exes.
Redactions have been made to protect the identity of eyewitnesses, the location of government facilities, or potentially sensitive information about military sites not related to UAP. Now, we've heard from some whistleblowers or some insiders who are like, look, the aliens came down to warn us about nuclear extinction. You guys are on the precipice of nuking each other and destroying your entire planet. Or it's destroying your planet. Yes, essentially. Now, why would these orbs be over potentially? Where do you think they keep the nuclear stuff? I don't know. All kind of curious. Let me tell you guys about Healthy Cell. HealthyCell.com/Wendy. This is a new way to get supplements into your system. And it's not so new. In fact, I think we've been with them for about a year. And I love this because you can replace 12, sometimes more than 12 individual pills, supplements, by taking one microgel, right? Little packet, you tear off the top, 15 different varieties, right? There's a Healthy Cell gel pack for calm, to relieve anxiety and stress. So before you take a pharmaceutical product like Xanax, try a calm mood is what it's called. There's one for bone strength, bone health. There's one for your vision, specifically for your eyesight. There's one for your hair, your skin, your nails, your cardiovascular system. There's one that helps with blood sugar, maintaining your blood sugar, maintaining your blood pressure. Imagine being able to come off pharmaceutical drugs by using a microgel whose ingredients are all adaptogens and things that happen in the plant world. It's crazy. That's Healthy Cell. That's HealthyCell.com/Wendy. Try it. If you have problems sleeping, get the REM sleep. If you have trouble focusing, focus and recall. It's my baby. HealthyCell.com/Wendy. Get 20% off your first order. I would load up because their stuff is phenomenal. And there's one that's very good. The Bioactive Multi. It's like your ultimate multivitamin on steroids. It's your shield of defense against yuck. And there's the Immune Super Boost too, which is great to take during cold and flu season. Particularly if you have somebody who's living with you, who's perhaps sick or older. This is a great supplement, a great gel pack. The Immune Super Boost to kind of give them a bubble of that protection. HealthyCell.com/Wendy. Love them. Love, love, love them. I wish they could create one that would undo the effects of the jab. Is there an antidote? All right, I'm going to go through all of these with you guys because I think you need to know what the 9 types of aliens millions claim to have seen in the past 100 years. What? Millions have claimed to see, and yet these people are silenced, right? This is why you need control of social media. This is why you need to control the media. This is why you have to control what people are allowed to say, how they say it, where they say it, and who gets to hear it. Isn't that gross? These are the people who are like, my free speech. And it's like, what about my free speech? Biatch. Whoa. Good talk. 9 types of aliens. I have no idea if this is correct or not. I like to tell you that right away, but it's interesting. How many of you, you'll have to tell me in the comment section, how many of you have seen one of these? Okay? That's the deal. Claim to have seen in the past 100 years. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. We talk about aliens. I don't know what to believe. Who does? So we chew on it together. So they're the grays. These are the small, large black eyes often described in classic abduction reports. The reptilians are number 2. They're shape-shifting lizard-like beings rumored to influence governments. Super. Number 3 is the Nordics. These are the tall, blonde, human-like beings said to warn about Earth's future. I think they're like 7 feet tall too, aren't they? Number 4, the insectoids. These are mantis-like entities linked in some accounts to experiments and mind control. Number 5 are the hybrids, part human, part alien beings described in genetic mixing claims. Number 6, Syrians. These are reported connection to the Sirius star system and ancient myths. Number 7, draconians, warlike, dragon-like beings, often described as dominant in space civilizations. There's the Anunnaki. These are ancient gods from Sumerian texts, claimed by some theories to have influenced human origin. Wow. And then there are the Lyrans. This is the feline or the human-like beings, sometimes described as one of the oldest alien groups. Like, are these myths? Modern conspiracy? Something deeper? I don't know. The real question everybody wants to know, are we alone or not? So chew on that for a little while. I want to talk about this before we go there because we got 2 clips. Number 1, I want you to hear Congressman Byron Donalds, who's running for governor of Florida. And he's like, look, there's one thing you need to know. The senators voting against the president and his war powers in Iran prove to us one thing, that they will tolerate totalitarianism and communism and terrorism on their watch. Listen to this.
The fact that you have Democrat senators who want to stop the United States government and stop President Trump from doing what he can to help free Cuba from more than 60 years of totalitarianism and a dictatorship. But then the same Democrats will come here and lecture everybody in America about how they're the only ones that stand for freedom, that stand for democracy. Give me a break. They're lying. But this isn't new. They lie about this stuff all the time because we work in these halls. And when we try to just do simple common sense policy to actually open up America's economy for the American people, drive down costs, have health care that makes sense, you know who stops us? The same Democrats who go on the trail and talk about how they're the only one standing for the little guy. That war powers resolution that they're bringing is indicative of the fact that the Democrats will tolerate totalitarianism on their watch. And they will let it happen. They will watch people starve. They will watch people be oppressed. And they won't lift a finger, but they'll go to their cocktail party and talk about how they stand for freedom and liberty and democracy. Give me a break. I don't listen to them anymore. And that resolution is why.
That's exactly. He says the Democrat Party survives on manufacturing grievance. Isn't that a great line? I agree. So now marching into the Memorial Day weekend, gas prices are through the roof. We hear that California is flirting with $10 a gallon. I'll read a couple headlines. California gas prices reaching all-time highs ahead of Memorial Day. This one, California gas prices could spike even higher after India slashes exports. California gas prices may reach $10 amid energy crisis. And then there's a gentleman who shows up to fill up his car at a Chevron station. And he's in California, and he finds a sign put up by Chevron saying that it's not President Trump jacking up the cost of gas. So don't blame him. It's Democrats and their awful rules and regulations that are making life unaffordable in California. Listen to this guy.
All right, check it out. We're at Chevron. Sacramento policies did this. Now you pay more. California politics are choosing foreign oils and fuel over local jobs and lower costs. This is at the Chevron right here, okay? Right here. So Chevron is letting people know it's not Donald Trump making our gas more expensive. It's California politics are choosing foreign oils over fuel and fuels over local jobs and lower costs. Because we could be doing this here, but they'd rather buy it from foreigners and load their pockets instead of giving us jobs and making it cheaper for us. They're crooks. The Democrats.
Crooks are Democrats. Democrats are crooks. Think about the water problem. Instead of allowing the water from the Sierra Nevada to come down into the state of California and nourish all of the fields and get them green again, what did they do? They diverted the water into the Pacific Ocean under the guise of protecting a fish that exists other places too. It's like if there's not a way for them to make money off of it, what's the point? They'll starve you. They will rob you. They will steal from your children. And then they'll tell you that it's Donald Trump who's the problem. Really? These are the same people who are against Cubans possibly soon gaining their independence. Got it. Hey, I loved being with you today. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Wendy Bell radio program. We'll see you tomorrow. It's Friday. Love you guys. Peace.